Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. How are we? This is the Marcia Week Show. I am Marcia Weeks and I'm coming to you live from Barbados. And tonight I am excited because, I'm feeling a change in the atmosphere. Everywhere I turn, people are just eager. There is something that is happening in Barbados. There is something amazing that's happening in Barbados. The first thing that is happening is that people are getting educated about the issues. And this is exciting. Good evening to everybody. Let me just say welcome to Tracy Barrow. Tracy Barrow, who was the first to join from 4:44 today. Tracy Barrow joined. Welcome, Tracy Barrow. Opposition, Pete Way, gather and assemble up crew. And as we are assembling, we ask you to hit the thumbs up button because change is happening in Barbados. There is education happening, the brain, something is happening in the minds. And I told you this before. Once Barbadians begin to understand what is happening, then that is where we get the revolution. Yes? Something is happening. It starts in the mind. It starts to get where the mind begins to churn over the information, and then it gets to the heart and the feet and the hands, and everything start to work. Something great is happening. Heathcliff, good evening. Heathcliff, please share. Please like and share. Like and share. Judith and Clark, welcome, Judith. How are you doing this evening? I haven't forgotten our little thing that we're going to do. We're working on that, Judith. Llewellyn, did I say it right this time, Llewellyn? Good evening, Llewellyn. Do us a favor. Can you hit the like button? Hit the like button. Hit the thumbs up. If you're on Facebook, hit the like button. Yes. And guess what? I forgot that I need to go live on Instagram. What is wrong with me? So I'm hitting the like button on Instagram right now. Oh my Lord. And nothing is happening. What's going on here? But anyway, we forget about that for right now. But listen, folks, listen, important that you hit that like button, you hit the thumbs up. Marlene Seeley, good evening. Marlene, I am a believer that we are coming together. I see us coming together. I see Barbados coming together. I see the fear being removed. And there's a consciousness, there's a certain consciousness that is happening in Barbados at this present time. We are coming together. We are coming together with understanding about the issues. That's what's happening. Bage and Britt. Hey, Bage and Britt. Are you watching from the UK, Bage and Britt? Do you feel that change coming? I feel a wind of change is happening. Oswald Newton is saying, good evening to all loyal opposition family. I'm feeling this change. There's a wind of change that is happening. A wind of change that is happening in Barbados. There's a consciousness that people are coming to. There's an understanding that is happening. And once the Barbadian public begins to understand what the issues are, yeah, I believe that that understanding and that education is very, very necessary for us to see the change that is needed in this country. Because one of the things that's happening is that Barbadians are beginning to realize that we cannot depend on any particular party. We are beginning to realize that we are not about party politics. This opposition you see here will not line up behind a color. We are not lining up behind any red or blue or yellow or green or pink or purple. You understand? We understand what's going on. And as you come, you are liking, because when you like, when you go ahead and you like, when you like it, when you hit the thumbs up, it's going to trigger the algorithm, and people are going to find us. And we need them to find us because the education must continue. Good evening, Mark Clark, Beige, and Britt is watching from the UK. But good evening, Mark. God bless you, Naira Griffith. Good evening. Yes, it is happening. It is happening. The fear is going from people. Yeah, the fear is going. I get the calls daily. The fear is going. My phone doesn't stop with stuff coming in. people are beginning, they're wising up, they're seeing it, Bajans shaking off the fear, they're shaking off the fear, shaking off that insecurity, and also the mentality that Barbadians are passive. Listen, I saw a conversation that was happening on Facebook, and somebody said, "Oh, Bajans are passive." And let me tell you, they jumped into everybody jumped on that one person. Said, "We are not passive." I saw that on Facebook was happening. Yeah, Bajans were saying we're not passive. All that happened was that we live in a country where we couldn't do any revolts. We had the Bosso rebellion. But we couldn't do other rebellions like Jamaica and other countries because we're flat. Where were we going to go? Where were our ancestors going to go? They understand it. Because the worst thing you can do is to start, first of all, you oppress the people and then tell them they're too weak to respond. You cause us to believe we are too weak to respond. But the people, the populace, we are raising up. We are understanding that that too is a lie. Good evening, Edwin. Good evening, Ace. We are waking up. Barbados is waking up. Serlene, yes, no more jinx. No more jinx. You see? Because we've been enlightened or intellected, we've been enlightened. We are of the Bussa kind. We're going to stand up. Yeah. I was watching Kimar's program last night, Alternate Views, which you should join in on a Thursday evening. I encourage everybody to join in on a Thursday evening at 7, because this is all part of the revolution that is happening. This is a revolution where we're kicking down the whole party business and we're standing up as nationals. We're standing up as Barbadians. And you know what? Bobby Morris, who did a fantastic job last night on Alternate Views, you know what he was saying? And just reminding us of this, just in case we forget. He was saying to us that Bossa was a Bajan. Huh? Bossa was a Bajan. Yes, we were educated that he was not the first in command. But the point is that he played a significant role in that rebellion, in that revolution. And I'm saying to us that they will get a rude awakening. This giant that they say is passive, the giant that they say is asleep, is not up. What are they going to do about that? They can't ignore us. You know, Pete? Yeah? They can't ignore us. The people are rising up. As you are coming on, you're hitting the thumbs up, or on Facebook, you're hitting like. Yes? Young people. I was talking to a young person from UWI today, and I said to the person, I said to him, I said, let me tell you something. I think he's about in second year. I believe that the answers to all of our problems, all the things that we're dealing with in Barbados at this moment, even our healthcare system, where we have to go to the hospital and wait 3 to 4 long days before we see a doctor. How quickly that our whole hospital system just plummeted. But I tell you, even the answer to that lies within the people of Barbados. We don't need to wait on the government to fix that, you know. We don't need to wait on the government to fix it. Yeah. Yes, Speedway. That's what I'm saying. The giant is wide awake and bringing solutions. I'm seeing it. It's happening in chats. Because Barbadians, we're brilliant people. We're people that we can execute the change that needs to happen in here. And if we need to flip over this government, we will do it. Whatever is needed to bring the change in this country, we can do it. We've got the power to do it. Yes, the fear is going. We do not need to wait on politicians to bring the ideas for change in this country. No. And we are intelligent enough to be able to review and scrutinize the ideas that the politicians are putting forward for us because we employ them. We employ them. The people can go. We employ them. We are in a position to scrutinize, to review, to criticize constructively what is presented. And when you start to speak up, don't you let anybody tell you, "Oh, you're not political." No, I'm being patriotic. You need to tell them, I'm speaking up on behalf of my country. I'm doing what my founding father would want me to do. I understand the kind of mirror image that I need to have of myself and of this country. I understand exactly who I am. And it is because I understand who I am, why I am speaking. So there is a change that is coming. The change it actually is already here. Yes, Peatway. That's what it means to be I'm a citizen of Barbados. Because I speak about things that are happening and about governance. Does that make me partisan? Does that make me political? Well, if that's what you call political, well, so be it. But I'm not going to sit down and allow the healthcare system in this country to go to ruins. And I say to every one of you, use your social media. Use your social media. Speak out. Do not let those who, instead of being citizens, are choosing to be yard fowls, are choosing to wait on the crumbs that the politicians throw on the ground for them after they have fattened themselves. After the politician sits at the table, spreads a table, beautiful table, you're off at the side watching, and they eat and fill up their stomach, put their foot up and throw some crumbs on the ground for the fowls to eat, and they eat it, and then decide to defend the same politicians. We're not of that ilk. We believe we need a seat at that table. We sit at that table because the food that is on the table is our food. We don't eat crumbs. So you tell those that decide that they want to line up behind a party and they want to line up behind politicians that you're not a yard fowl. You don't eat crumbs. You have a seat at the table. You're a citizen. I am a citizen. I am a citizen. Some of you have been citizens longer than I have been. I have been a citizen over 20 something years. How about you? How long have you been a citizen? As a citizen, you have rights, which they're trying to take away from us through the digital ID. Through that TRIDENT ID, which is what is going to be used to become the digital ID, we're going to be told you can't vote if you don't have that ID. They're going to take away the right to vote, the right to be able to access various social services. Did you hear on the radio when they asked a particular radio announcer, why do we need to pay? And he says there are certain, I don't want to use the wrong term, but basically he's saying there are certain things you wouldn't have access to. Up till now, we can't hear what those certain things are. Those are services, I believe. I am suggesting those are social services. that they can't open their mouth and tell us what those are, trying to take away our citizenship from us. Yeah. We were either born here or, like myself, naturalized here. Yeah. Correct, Mark. We are letting go of the politicians' shirts and skirt tails. We don't eat crumbs because we're not fowls. You feed the fowls crumbs. You eat the bread and you take the crumbs and throw at them. And that's what some of us are deciding. This is how some of us are deciding to live. But the rest of us understand that we are citizens. And because we are citizens, you have no right to try to shut me up. You can't, actually. You can't. We must remember those same politicians, the same politicians that want to take our services from us, those same politicians who, through coming with this idea of this TRIDENT ID, like we can't read and see what is happening all over the world. Majority of these countries, they know the deadline is 2024 to install this digital system. It's 2024. We do not have our sovereignty anymore. Our leaders have sold us out. And in the Caribbean, they have chosen Barbados, and they chose Barbados because of the size and because of our leader. They have found out in Jamaica, we have a term called licky licky and beggy beggy. They have found out that we have a licky licky and beggy beggy prime minister that goes around all Captain Planet, the young people call her Captain Planet. She travels all over with a hand out, and they recognize that. You see, once people know that you're a beggar, once people in Jamaica, as we know, they know that you're licky licky, they say, oh, all right, we got her. We know we're together because she's always going to want something. As we see, every time she travels, she comes back with a loan. And we are tied to something. Why is it? This is the only country in the Caribbean right now. We are far ahead of many countries in the world with this digital system, this digital ID that takes our biometrics and put it in a central location where they govern govern the data, our data, and can use it for whatever they will. Yes, there are other Caribbean islands that I believe eventually will get there, but why ours first? Yeah, licorice. It is because of our licorice prime minister why our sovereignty is hanging in the balance right now. And it is the people of Barbados that can turn that around. It is the citizens of Barbados that can turn it around. It is the people. It is us, the 280,000. If we get up and say we will not comply, if we get up and say we're not pinning anything, they have to stop. It has to stop. Yeah. Ruth Vaughn, let me tell you, I know this is not a religious program, but I happen to believe this is the beginning stages of it. It is the beginning stages. It started way back in when we had the pandemic, which I can't talk too much in because, again, the censorship, the censorship, it started back then. And it is a system that is put in place. that they're going to take the services from us. So a lot of people, oh, I'm not going to pin my ID. Are you making preparations so that when the services are removed from you? That's the big question. Are you making preparations tonight, folks? When those services are removed, you're not pinning your ID, but are you ready? I am saying there is a change. The citizens of Barbados are. You see how my shoulders are straight up? This is how they are. This is what's happening. I'm getting the messages. They are coming together. The intellect has been challenged. They are inspired. They recognize we don't have an opposition. And we are saying to this government, and you know what? We're going to question everything. We're going to hold you accountable. We're calling for transparency in every single department. The 280,000 of us, we are saying away with yard faulism. Away with that. We don't eat crumbs anymore. Citizens don't eat crumbs. We're children. We're sons and daughters of this country. And we sit at the table and we eat with knife and fork, if you want to do that, or Africans with our hands, because Africans eat with their hands. Mm? Yeah? So we're going to change that. People, let's come together. Let's come together. Put aside the fear. It's now or never. It is now or never. We understand. We understand what is happening. Yes, yes, ADG. I believe it. They're gonna keep pushing. And I tell you something, the people are building up muscles right now and they are standing up. The game is over. We are sending out an alarm. We're sending out a notice all throughout this land. The game is over. Barbadians are standing up. This game is over. Please like the thumbs up, please. Give us the thumbs up. Exposure is happening left, right, and center. Have you noticed? I haven't seen it. Since this whole thing with this check, where is the Deputy Prime Minister? Why doesn't she come out and address the people? Has she come out? Am I wrong? Did I? Because I don't want to tell any lies on here. But I've been searching. I haven't seen her. What we are doing is taking effect. And if they don't want to publish our papers anymore, if that Barbados Today and all of them don't want to publish anything anymore, I'm hearing from people who write that they don't want to publish their articles anymore. I hear from economists in this country, they don't want to publish their articles. Other people who write on social issues. Up to this week, I send a message to them about the Barrow thing, and the same Barbados Today did not answer. I said, boycott them. It's time the citizens rise up and use social media. We are beginning to understand what is happening. Guys, are we liking and sharing? Yeah. So we need us guys to understand that we don't have a spirit of fear. We don't have a spirit of fear. I'm telling you, this is taking effect. It's happening. The power of the people. They're recognizing the power of the people. When the people stand up, the powers fall down. And I say this, that when the citizens of Barbados stand up, the powers that be in here that are oppressing the people will fall down. There is no way that a government should allow people to be waiting 4 days at a hospital and they pick up $3 million. $3 million to put up concrete and iron in the middle of town. Concrete. Some countries, I tell you, you're lucky it's still standing. $3 million. Huh? And you decide now you're gonna bring this husband from ambassador from we're gonna talk about this before again, and I'm not playing with them. They brought him back here and telling us about this Cricket World Cup where there's nothing that they have done that has worked and brought any change in this economy. Another $50 million down the drain. And we waiting 4 days at a hospital for care. The same way that they go and playing all about and begging. Why is it no money can put at the hospital? We're not people that love to spend money in brick and mortar. Is the problem, and trying to tell us, let me know if the general is ready. Yes. I'm telling you, I'm fired up this evening because I feel the change. Good night, Mr. Franklin. How are you?
Oh, good night. I'm a bit rested. I came on my back to sleep. I just before woke me a few minutes ago because had a very tiring day. Marcy, you would not believe. And I'm going to share it with the people what happened today and what started yesterday. Yesterday, I received a call from a nurse at the St. Philip Polyclinic to say that one of the nurses was threatened with a knife. Somebody pulled a knife on a nurse. Believe you me. And the scenario was that this is 8:38 in the morning. They couldn't open at 8:30. A young man came in with his child to receive the normal childhood vaccine booster. But that man did not want to wait in the clinic because he didn't want anybody to come and know that he is there and then send somebody to take him out. Because this is St. Philip now, the capital of Barbados. So,
Wow.
so he decides that he wants to be serviced now. But of course, the child has to be registered. You just can't go and stick an injection in somebody's arm and then say, go. You got to know who got it. You got to go and register with
Right.
the registration people. And at 8:38, when he didn't get his way, my man pulled a knife. But I
Wow.
told the nurses, because the nurses there are mostly represented by Unity Workers Union. So I told them, well, they're not working anymore today until they have security because there's one security guard sitting at the front and there's no metal detectors. So my position was that before they start working again, we have to have additional security and we're going to have metal detectors. So they withdrew their labor. The nurse was distraught. The police came. I know the police don't want to prosecute the man who did it because
Why?
we're told that the nurse doesn't want to be doesn't want the fellow prosecuted. That is the first. When I mentioned that to the nurse this morning, that was the first time she heard that because she never said that to anybody. But you know these thugs
So
got friends in the right places.
you're saying that. Hold a minute. You're talking too fast, Mr. Franklin, because this is very serious here. So are you saying to me that the 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 police is saying that they are not going to prosecute the young man that
No,
pulled the
no, the ministry said they received information that which was probably passed to the police. I do not know exactly who passed it. That the nurse is not interested in prosecuting the fellow. That is not true. The nurse was distraught and she was scared. Didn't and the police didn't want to take a statement from her at the workplace where it happened. They tell her come to the station. They were man frightened. She didn't
Mhm.
want to drive up this where the police should have taken the statement there and then. So the guy has gone home. The police are looking for it because nobody want to make a statement. But she has never said that to anybody. Where that story come from, she does not know. I do not know. But the fella has connections, of the criminal kind, who got connections of the political kind. So they don't want to be. You know, the Barbados, not sorry, Barbados, what? The Nation reporter took took this information, had a story. They wrote. I communicated with the young lady, and she said she wrote this story and submitted it. You know, the Nation and bring it. You imagine a nurse being threatened in Barbados at knife point at a polyclinic in St. Philip, and the Nation did not think that that was newsworthy,
What?
and
What
did
do
not
you
and did
mean?
not and did not bring it. I don't know who influenced the Nation not to bring the story, but it didn't come this morning. This happened yesterday, not today. And the ministry now sends a communication specialist from the ministry, some consultant, Joanne Haig, to come and deal with the nurses. I was so upset because they don't want communication specialists. Then they would need psychologists. And then now they come up with this nonsense. One they're going to have today at 1 o'clock. They will have some counselors come to counsel the staff. It's same polyclinic where the incident happened. I told the nurse to go home because you do not bring people into the same environment where they were attacked, then to say, well, we're going to counsel you here. No, you carry someplace else. Away from that environment, away from where the trauma happened. So whoever is making these decisions in the ministry, either don't know what they're doing or just don't feel that nurses are worth spending any money on. Because you can't ask me to come back in the same place where somebody pull a knife on me and tell me sit down there. Well, all the time when you counsel, I can be thinking about the fella coming back to you with a knife.
So, Mr. Franklin, what is going on here? This seems this. I mean, without any more information, this seems like there's some kind of cover up that is going on here. So you're saying that you reported it to the Nation,
Yes.
and the Nation, the reporter wrote the story, but the
Yeah.
Nation did not carry the story. I'm seeing the story here in Loop News.
Well, I didn't speak about from news. No, they probably picked it up because what happened? The Barbados Nurses Association came this morning and made a statement. Because right now they have lost the membership at the polyclinic. I think they got one nurse or something like that, and NUPW came in with two, and they're keeping the whole furor. They want to let the nurses believe that they are doing something. So they are using this as a recruiting tool, and that offends me too, because how dare you rush up there at somebody's trauma and complain you doing things to get members. No, 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 no. That's nonsense. They should have done things to get members long ago. And then when when an issue come up, then they can come up there and legitimately represent people. I was upset. I told the nurses to go a bit like because I was supposed to have a meeting at the Labor Department this morning at 10. But scheduled a little while ago, so I couldn't just not go. So I said after that meeting, I will go I will go to St. Philip. But then I got word around 10 o'clock when I was dressed and ready on my way for the meeting that the other side, the employer who was going against, is out the island. So then I kept straight to St. Philip to talk with my nurses. I had a meeting with them, and I assure them that I will be there, and I tell them, and I can tell everybody now in Barbados, because this is going far and wide. Your show goes far and wide, Marcia. I'll give you another joke when I finish. Um, that this is our position. This is how it will work. The clinic is supposed to be open on Tuesday. If we have the things that we are asking for, which is security personnel, actual bodies, and metal detectors, I do not expect them to go and get a scanner from overseas and rush straight and break to the airport scanner and stuff. I don't expect that to happen immediately. They don't have them put down waiting for people to come and say, oh, can I go out to Cape Shepherd and get a scanner? Like, don't work like that. But there are enough handheld devices that you can use, those things like the little
Mm-hmm.
paddles,
Yes.
and I want to see people with them on on Tuesday. If that is not the case, then the nurses with Unity will not work, which means that two people will work. I pointed out to them that I could not call the other two nurses off the job because they were not members of Unity Workers Union, but they will have to carry the brunt of the load because
So you are announcing that the Unity nurses, Unity workers, union nurses, that they will strike on Tuesday if
no,
the security.
they're not striking. The law is that you cannot be forced to work in the condition that is dangerous to your health. That's
Mhm,
section
I got you. Okay.
104 of the Safety and Health at Work Act. If they do not provide security, that will be a dangerous workplace. The government has a common law duty and a duty by law, by statute now, to provide a safe place of work and a safe system of work. It is no longer safe. You are operating in the murder capital where people are killing each other every other week. You're hearing somebody get shot,
Mm-hmm.
and they do not want to. I do not want the that spill over to happen in the polyclinic, because the fellas will come if you are in the polyclinic seeking treatment, and they hear that you're in the polyclinic, they will come and shoot you in there. And bullets don't have any names written on them, so they might hit a nurse,
Mm-hmm.
or it might go through the pharmacy window and hit one of the people behind there. I might hit one of the maids. It might hit anybody. So unless we have that security, the
Mm-hmm.
nurses in Unity will not work. And it's as simple as that. I am not settling for anything less. No compromises. That is the minimum that we will appreciate. I also explained to the nurses that when the security people come, when the nurses come in for work, I would expect them to submit to be scanned as well. The reason being, if the criminals know that the nurses are not scanned, one criminal might turn up at your house in the morning and say, I want you to carry this gun in the clinic for me.
Mm-hmm.
I will stay here with your husband and little children till you bring the gun. Of course you can carry the gun. When you carry that in, and the person who is supposed to get will come and get it, do what he has to do, and then your family is dead because the fellows your family don't see the criminal's face. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever happens, the nurses will end up losers. So I said, accept the inconvenience of having your bags or whatever scanned, because then we will know that nobody is forcing you to take a weapon inside there. Because
Mm-hmm.
I know people will object, oh, I work here so I don't need to be scanned. That is rubbish. Absolute rubbish. And these days, you got to be very careful. I have seen at the Miami airport where the shift coming in is scanned by the shift that is going out.
Mm-hmm.
And when those fellas go in the lockers, take out their bags and do what they have to do, they come back and they are scanned by the shift that just relieved them. So they know that you aren't taking nothing out of the airport or you have brought nothing
Yes.
in. And they would expect that level, that to operate here, because we are working in dangerous times. We're operating in dangerous times because right now these criminals they're not reasonable. They just decide, I gotta get my man, and they will shoot him and anybody that has wrong him to just to get the fellow they want. I do
Mm-hmm.
not want that for nurses. You know,
Yeah.
my problem though, my problem is who would have told the nation not to bring the story, and for the nation to not to bring that story, the information would have to that request would have to come from high up. I don't even want to suggest how high. And I know they will say now, oh, we didn't have any space in the paper.
For
No,
something,
eh,
for that.
that is what I am saying. I would not accept that either because things get knocked off the front page when, just like when my union was having a press conference, the government hold on, knocked me off the front page because they know I had a press conference at midday so that the people on the latest news will hear it just 11:30, 12 o'clock, so it can be reported at 12:30 midday news and stuff. And then when the prime minister and then people hear about my press conference, they call one at 4. So of course now the people can rush and the prime minister talk her usual diatribe, and that took precedence over anything that I said. And mine got and also mentioned in the paper. So I know about moving things to accommodate people. So if they wanted, and if they weren't coerced, requested, threatened, bribed, promised advertising, or something, that story should have hit the front page of the newspaper
Mm,
this morning.
yeah.
We should not have to wait for 2 days or whatever else for the story to make the news. I was busy yesterday. I didn't call. I was rushing, so I only spoke to the nation reporter. I didn't speak to Stats and Bob, but then I spoke to them this morning. And next thing you know, I had reporters from a reporter from Starcom Network News. They're trying interviewing me. They interviewed me on the phone. Then they come back and want to get me in person. Starcom saw it was a priority, and they
Mhm.
wanted to have and they interviewed me twice. Once on the phone before I left home, and then when they get to the polyclinic and when they speak to nurses, they were there again. They
So
wanted,
we
but
need to we need to call out the nation to understand. We don't know why, so we need to understand from the nation why the story was not carried. If it was something that this reporter is saying that they did write the story, we have to ask those questions. This is a serious issue, and we need to know from our police. We need to know from the police. They need to be able to say why are they saying that this nurse doesn't want to press charges when the nurse is saying she doesn't know anything about that.
she never said that. She said she never told anybody that. That she was still crying this morning. You know what it is to have somebody threaten your life, and I think it's to have you threaten your life at work. You know, you're at work. You're doing your best. You're supposed to see people at 8:30, and by 8:38, somebody who won't get service put a gun in your face. But if you'd gone to A&E, he'd be there 4 days. So I don't know what Nas is talking about. Some easily work Caswell. I just can't get my head around that. Was the nurse interviewed, and were there any witnesses? There was a doctor was in the vicinity when it happened. The nurse was interviewed, and that is the best I can tell you. I don't know about any other people, but she went and she reported to her colleagues. The doctor was there. I think the doctor was asked to give a statement as well. The guy just wanted to get that connect fast because he didn't want the fellas to hear that one so and so men at the clinic so they can send somebody to take him out. Because you know the fellas can't go on lockdown anymore because when they go, you turn up and you think everything's settled, you end up with your mother weeping for you. So he was being proactive, very proactive with a knife to an innocent nurse who was just there doing her duty. And I don't understand why the police are moving heaven and earth to go and capture that man and lock him up.
This is very. I mean, it's a very serious because even if someone is saying, I don't know the law very well, but I'm thinking that he violated a national space. And so even if the say the nurses didn't want to press charges, that there should be something, some kind of charge, that as the hospital, the polyclinic, should be able to do something. And to think that they would not, if it is true, I don't know, that the nation did not print it, and then to figure out why. Because you see, I was thinking, Mr. Franklin, the police need to understand that we, the citizen, we need to be able to trust them. There's a lot of crime going on, and we understand that there are lots of good police, men and women, in the force, right? There are lots of good police, but what they have to understand that when these kind of things are being reported, saw something going around where they went into the man's house and did not. The man is alleging that they went in his house and did not get a warrant, and I'm saying they need to fix. Then, as a citizen, I need to know that the police is not corrupt. And I don't believe that is majority of them. But in a situation like this, they need to explain, who reported it that this nurse did not want to press charges.
I want to know too, because I got that information this morning when I was speaking to someone in the ministry whose name I will not call right now because, but he wasn't. I don't know if I'm at liberty to say what he said to me because we was not speaking in a situation where I could doubt to come back and reveal what was told to me. So, but I am told that the ministry has that information that the nurse don't want press charges. And the thing is, at her fragile state, you don't want to know if you want press charges that so early.
Mm-hmm.
Is going on. You would want to let her settle down, get her the counseling that she's needed, and then do that. The first thing the people's mind is not that she don't want press charges, and that's not a police call either. That's a call for a magistrate or a judge. When you don't want press charges, you tell it to the magistrate, because if somebody has committed a serious offense, and the person who um, is the victim, it is not even the victim's call. Because in some instances, you can prosecute the fallible victim, given evidence if you have enough witnesses. But he's committed a crime against society, not only against that person. The people, the police, the lawyers like to call him the virtual complainant, the victim who was thing. But the complainant basically is the state that is bringing the case against you. You
Mm-hmm.
now become a witness in that case. Then
Right.
you are so, and it is too early in the game to determine that this person does not want to press charges. Mind you, the person never said that to anybody, but something is wrong here. But I'll tell you, the guy who who brandished the weapon, my wife didn't get to go to the parliament for the opening to see me, but his boss, the guy's boss, went. That pick sense from that because I'm not going any further down that road. His boss went to Parliament for the opening of Parliament when my wife, I could not get a ticket for my wife to go. I'll leave it at that. You now will have to determine who or how that this whole thing went down and how the nation and bring it, because it wasn't newsworthy. That's all I can think. Something as traumatic as that, as major as that. One of our government institutions, somebody came in and brandished a knife, and it did not make the news. Now, what so what is newsworthy? Who was the editor? Who determined? Because the editor of the newspaper, the person who puts out the newspaper, is the person that makes that call. Who influenced the editor, or who gave the editor instructions not to bring that? All of these things I want to know, because I don't feel safe when for my nurses, I don't think that they are safe when something like this can happen and nobody is taking it serious enough, not even to report it in the newspaper.
But
They
you
got to
know,
report it.
Mr. Franklin, the people in St. Philip who use that polyclinic, they're the ones too. They need to be writing the newspaper, doing something. They need to be crying out about this because they have to go to the polyclinic. What if that man started to use that knife in that place?
But you see, the thing is, the kind of mentality that would allow you to bring a knife and you have your child there with you, your 6-year-old child or whoever old the child was, with you, and you want service. And the example that you are setting for your child is if I don't get the service when I need it, I am going to pull my gun or my knife or whatever I have. You know, that is real good child rearing. You know, I am I can't believe it. You know,
Somebody here is saying that to write the Ministry of Health. And yeah, they need the people in St. Philip who they have to call your member of parliament. This is what I'm saying. Take action, folks. And don't think about whether it's your party in power or not. It's about our safety. It's about our safety. Call your member of parliament and said you tell them you need a full investigation of what is happening up at the polyclinic. Demand it.
I do not understand it, Marcia. Honestly, this one stumps me. I abhorred, I'm angry, and think I know I'm tired because this thing really and truly is more than I expected to happen. And one of the things that the nurses are asking for now, I have to check the law to make sure it isn't already on the books. But if you come and you brandish a knife to a policeman when he is doing his duty, you're in trouble. If you do it to a customs officer, a customs guard, you're in trouble. If you try to get in their way when they're doing their job, not only brandish, but you try to get in there to stop them from performing their duties. Immigration officers, if you do that to them, you're committing an offense. If you do that to a teacher, there's legislation that says that you can end up before the courts. I don't know if there's any for the nurses, but if there isn't, because I
There
can't,
should
I
be.
if that should it must be, because right now this place you got to protect the lives of those nurses because those nurses are young mothers, and young wives, the men and to sacrifice one of them, the children, and the husband and everybody gotta go and start looking for somebody to replace her. No, the government has to protect its workers when they're in danger zones. And right now, St. Philip is a danger zone. And anybody working in St. Philip by the government has to provide the necessary security because I'm not only talking about nurses, I'm talking about anybody working in St. Philip, even in the supermarkets and the shops. Because if you hear that your man has gone to a shop in St. Philip and you got to take him out, you go out there shooting, and hopefully the people that are not intended scamper out the way before something happens to them, because they are hell bent on taking one man out. The rest will be collateral damage, and that is not something that we can tolerate in this country, and we certainly cannot normalize it. We can't now say that something like this is not newsworthy. You know, one time I'll jokes and things those fellas were there, man. There would have been that'd be a big story and stuff. I don't know what if the where they were the editors and stuff. I don't know now who is making these calls because this can't be right. This don't make no sense. You can't. I am so angry. When I finished up there today, I was drained. I I couldn't go up to work and do any work after that when I finished. But I finished. I left late. I came not late, but I and the first time I had a headache for the year, I don't normally get headaches. Was today. And see, I don't like headaches because I don't ever get a small headache because I don't have a small head. I I I always get a big headache, so I have to just shy away from this. But I got a headache today. That's one of the reasons why I came home and lay down, because what cures my headaches is rest. I don't have to take mostly. I can just, if I get one, I can just lay down. And it give me a headache today. So you can imagine if I get a headache, that what happened to nurses who went through this? And they bring a communication specialist to talk to the nurses today and yesterday. You know, you think these people are right in their head, they just want to have a consultant to give a consultant a little pick. This government is all about employing their consultants and giving them work rather than doing what is sensible. You don't. You need a communications consultant. You need a public relations officer or whatever they are to come to a situation when people are traumatized. This is the level of stupidity we have in this government. You know, they're always finding a little angle to get people something. And I can't tolerate that. I don't. I when I saw her there this morning, I know her. We've worked. I've worked for her. I worked, and I felt badly because that she was there. You know, and I know she wants to earn a living, and I don't want to stop anybody from earning a living. So if you are sent, you go. But you don't need to send people. You need psychologists, you need psychiatrists, you need those type of people to deal with that type of trauma. You don't need a communications consultant or communications specialist, whatever you feel like calling them. But this is how serious the government is taking the lives of poor black people. The same poor black people that would have given them a 230 0 seats in Parliament, you know. I hope the people are watching to see that this is happening. I don't want the politicians to come out there and do work themselves because most of them don't know what to do. But I want to put the resources in the hands of people who can do it. And I hear you mentioned today, just now, they bring some has-been from New York. Marcia, I have to correct you. It is not a has-been, it never was. He never was anything really, so
Before you go into that, there is a young lady that called me today, and I said to her I wanted her to call into the program because and I'm going to ask her to call in now. I think she's listening, to call in before we go into this, because she's talking to us about the young people. And she really wants to talk about the march. She was at the march, and she wants to give us her view and her take on the march and about these IDs and so on. So we're going to switch gears a little bit. And so so she's going to call in. So I'm waiting for her to call me. Let me see what's happening here. Is she calling? To call in. So if you're listening, Sunshine, she goes by the name Sunshine. Sunshine, you are free to call in at this time. There is just a little, while I'm waiting on her to call in, there is a video that I wanted to play just a little bit of it for us, and I just try to see if it's here. But I want to say to all of us, about this idea that they want to, um, Mr. Franklin, they want us to believe that this idea that everybody is taking it. And this young lady is letting me understand that a lot of the young people are not taking it, are not signing up for it. Just hang on. Let me play this here.
What's been going on down there in forms of dangerous legislation that's been tabled?
There's what I call the triad of tyranny. The identity verification bill, it is going to give the government power to capture your facial identification, your face, verify your ID. The digital identity bill,
A digital ID system could be operating between governments and the private sector as soon as next year.
Where they can collect your identity and distribute your identity and sell your identity. They need the verification bill for the second to work. To wrap it all up, they've got the misinformation, disinformation bill.
A terrifying piece of legislation that seeks to suffocate political debate specifically and prevent citizens from disagreeing with government policy.
That's their triad of tyranny. Basically, what they'll be able to do is enforce 15-minute cities.
Imagine a city where everything you need is just a short walk or bike ride away. A place where work, groceries, schools and parks are all within a 15-minute radius. Welcome to the concept of a 15-minute city.
Make no mistake, it's not about your convenience. And it's not about saving the planet either, by the way. The 15-minute cities, they will have to have those before they can lock you down. And that's what we're talking about here.
Once you have surveillance, they start to tax you. That's what they're suffering from under Sadiq Khan, is green taxes based upon surveillance.
Sadiq Khan's plan to extend the city's ultra-low emission zone was today ruled lawful. It expands the area in which people with more polluting vehicles face a daily charge.
So that's what they're trying to do with this. And the Labor government was really shocked when I asked some very direct questions of Katie Gallagher, the Finance Minister. The Digital Identity Bill may be the most significant piece of legislation this 47th Parliament will introduce. The effect of this bill is to tie every Australian to a digital identity that unlocks services necessary for life. It will facilitate making a digital identity check mandatory. She got into a really serious bout of anger with me.
It is not mandatory. It is not about giving anybody a digital identity.
I just heard the Minister in her contribution say that this bill is not about a digital identity. The bill is called the Digital ID Bill 2023. I mean, if they talk about misinformation here.
She put up a tweet announcing how wonderful it is that digital ID is being reintroduced into Parliament, and she was immediately fact-checked by Community Notes saying that actually it's not going to be voluntary, as she said, and then Community Notes gave a whole section of other instances around the world, including India, where voluntary became a government mandate by default.
The fundamental aim of their whole triad of tyranny is control. Alexandra, they just want to control the people.
Yes, Mr. Franklin, doesn't it sound like Barbados, the mixed information, it is mandatory? It's not mandatory, it's voluntary, and then no, it became mandatory, and all of these things that is happening. Anybody who's listening and you will recognize that what's happening in Australia is very similar to Barbados. We have on the line with us Sunshine. Good evening, Sunshine.
Good evening.
Okay, yes, can you hear her? Can you hear Mr. Franklin?
Let's hear something.
Yes, good evening, Sunshine. How are you?
I'm doing fine this Friday night. Yes, I'm very lovely. I hope you are doing fine too, Ms. Franklin.
Yes, we are doing well. We're doing well. Now, this morning I have to give the viewers a little joke. So, Sunshine, you called me this morning. I was here minding my business, Mr. Franklin, and the phone rang, and it was Sunshine on the call. And she says, good morning. May I speak to that very nice old lady who plans the marches? Sunshine, isn't that what you said? Can you speak a little louder? Really push your voice, speak loud, as though you're shouting. Sunshine, tell the people who you asked for when you came on the line.
Well, then I went to the protesting march, and I was looking for the organizer and the gentleman pastor. You know, he wasn't there at the time, but then another person that was there at the time said that he was a mature lady, and the march had a lot of mature people. So I thought that you was the lady, the man said the lady that was giving out the water, and it was a older woman to me. So the voice was so nice. So I say, well, are you the older lady?
Sunshine, talk the truth. You did not say older lady. You say old. Is this the nice old lady that do it? And I said, you mean Marcia? Which is, I don't know the name, but the nice old lady. But anyway, we had a good laugh out of that. But Sunshine, you were at the march, and you're a young person. Why did you go to the march against this digital ID?
I went because me as a young person, I don't trust the non-actions of the government because it looks to me like a plan, something from all the rest of government and different powers at B pushing the ID card vibration. And we as a people in Barbados do not have nowhere in Barbados where these ID cards are made. We do not have no one working in the ID card system where the information will be going or where the information will be storing. We don't have nobody that is one of us to say what the information is, it is fact, what is the consequences or what the people would be getting from gathering so much information together. And in the vibration of wars and different things amongst we as young people, we could see, well, the same that they're going to come with a solar storm plan, the same way how we had different inklings on the 19th vibration. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that is what the fear in us is that the government just come with this 19th vibration and we can see the ramifications right now from the 19th vibration. So we just don't want to put ourselves, because so like I said, from where I am speaking, from what I know, from what I see, I can't speak for nobody else, but from what I know and from what I see, nobody has the ID card because we don't trust the government, because the things that them doing, that trickling down and that other big countries fighting, them play that them ignorant too. How wanna go play that wanna ignorant too? Is that one scared of these bigger countries, or are you not smart enough as a black person to be beguiling in these times? You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Good. So to be as a young people, it's taking the people money and it's taking people orders, but we ain't getting nothing. We ain't seeing nothing still, and all of that. So normally it's supposed to be mandatory, and when you look up in the Black Dictionary, the meaning of mandatory, that we ain't gonna do that. We ain't gonna do that. Mandatory is 19, and now look what happened. And if I got solar farms and threatening and putting out in these bigger countries or this is going to happen, what sense does it make to go and put yourself into something that the people don't go anywhere for them to participate? I just say that them trapping themselves and want to trap me too.
Yes.
We already get trapped on the board. We already get trapped with the certificate, or the card, not the birth certificate. We already get trapped with the birth certificate. We mothers, when we mothers didn't know what they was about, then selling we and again money taxes off for the birth certificate life. And being a part of that, still the want to play with back. I want to actually do it.
So Sunshine, you said to me today that you were at the march, but you weren't happy that there weren't a lot of young people at the march. Why do you think you did not have that many young people at the march?
Well, for me, we didn't have that many young people because there wasn't avenues for talking. Like, for me, if I was planning a march, I would try to put it on radio stations or have a small little radio station as just about 5 to 10 seconds or so. So I get a location, the thing I said we are this day, give it to the location, give it to the radio stations to promote, and then also I would look up to see what would be the best avenues where the young people frequent on the internet pages, the popular ones, and also I would support ads on the most popular ones to make it more concern for the young people because the young people, they don't know. None of my people, they know. And I only knew because one of my girlfriends' husband was talking about it. And I remember, and I was like, again in March, because I went to the 19th March, and it was very big. The government did not promote put it out there how it was to me as a person that was there on the ground. It was bigger than what the government said was. And what the news said was it was a humongous march, and a lot of people come out on that day for the 19th March. Yeah, we went left and we went right, but we had a good walk, and people you still get put off in a bit because people marching all over the world still right now today in France and Germany for them right. And if we don't stand up as a black people for we right as young people, these people will come and stand up and march all over us again and again over and over just because of two greedy ones that look for make worse for the young ones that don't know what's going on in the system. So the promotion today was not promoted to the young people areas.
Yes.
And on the ground, some people were saying that the public avenue where supposed to be public, where supposed to be run by a person that is at a level head, a level heart, and a level mind to see if this was going on at this section of the government and the people trying to voice the opinion to the other section of the people. So to me, the energy of the ones that want to be in control is the fooling themselves with that big energy that the thing that they're pulling where you can say, oh, this is it. That is not it, because the people energy and the people mind is not what you want it to be, because they say that is what it is. So to me, in my heart and in myself, I believe that them feeling is going anywhere, no matter what they're pushing, because just because the march had mostly mature people written with I see, and all these mature people, imagine if the young people see this, and I didn't even know if it came out the news that I had a march on it, like the car vibration. So that to me is like the public section is taking place for some reason or they get paid to. And I don't understand the try to say, oh, I'm a big man, I'm a big woman, but still they will do condone in things that will harm the country or harm the inner self or the inner soul and the inner energy. You get what I'm saying? But the ball game there with inner self and inner soul and inner energy. People just known for doing wickedness to the one another and looking at you, thinking that you don't know what's going on. But we know, as we can see, the man who was speaking is the casual on the person that happened to do whatever they do for one reason of not having patience anymore anytime. And you know, it's another situation.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So people that make choices with the inner energy, for them in.
Yeah.
Right.
But let me ask you something, Sunshine. Let me ask you this final question though. First of all, let me just thank you for your courage in standing up as a young person and for taking the time out to call me today to ask the old lady. Thank you for calling and the connections that we made. Now, but I want to ask you though, you're saying that you don't want the ID, you're not pinning any ID, you're not involved in anything digital. But let me ask you, do you realize that if you don't do that, there are services that your social services you're not going to be able to get? How are you going to manage that, and how are the young people going to deal with that?
Well, if they do not get through with what they want, because there is about a good 100,000 or so people, which is a quarter of the 300,000 that will not or has not. So let me say half of the population, or I would even say at least 50,000 of the people have them IDs right now. Now I could tell you how
that's what you're believing that's what it is. So what is going to happen?
I ain't saying that's what it is. Definitely, I'm saying from my ground point of view.
Okay.
From my ground point of view right now, if I know 100 people, 4 of them have the ID.
Okay, good. Yes, and actually, and I was speaking to some young people. Well, one young man where I live, and he didn't want to go nowhere near that. It was somebody who, he left school a long time, and he's still in his mind, he says something is wrong with that. So I don't know. Mhm.
Because we, the young people, we use the net. We know the net was not there 40 years ago. The net don't come 20 years, and it is an avenue where we will use it, and we will see what is going on around the world with different avenues, even as our country wants to be in denial, and the powers that be in our country cannot stand up for the rights of the people, or just let the people do. Like, everybody was in government, and I know I get rushed or pushed by evil entity of some sort, and they go do this. And I know that the people could fight back to stop it. I, as a person, will go forward and say, yeah, well, I'm going to do this. But I still will let the avenue of the people push privately in itself to help themselves while I still helping myself. You get what I'm saying? Because
Yes.
it's all a chicken with trade and a thought. So why haven't you not open avenues and let your advertisement come true? No, they're blocking your advertisement because they don't want your advertisement to come true. Probably because there might be questions from up above, well, will you let that come true? You understand?
Mhm.
But you can tell them, well, you say, well, you don't know, it's true that is. You get what I'm saying? But nobody cares about nobody. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
so
it's the only thing that you could do is just care where you are, everybody caring to the left and the right. The normal people, the normal people energy of caring to the left and the right is good, is cool. But the higher up, they care about themselves.
yeah. Well, Sunshine, I wanna thank you so much for coming on tonight and for sharing your perspective. And whenever we're planning the march again, I am going to come and tap you, my dear. You have just this old lady has now signed you up to help with the advertising, right, to the young people, to make sure that they come out, because it affects all of us. And when we cannot get services, you see, we're gonna have to band together, and I believe that, you know what, we have to stand together, right? That we have to stand together and make a demand on this government and let them tell us what is it that we're not going to be able to access if we do not take those IDs. What do you think about that?
Illegal. It is illegal that a government made a people pay for an ID. It is illegal. It is
well, no, you no longer have to pay for the ID. Remember now, they took that back. You no longer have to pay for it. But they're saying
you don't have to pay for it, but if you don't get it by the so-called deadline, you have to pay for it after. Is that not true?
Yes, that is true. You're correct.
Good. So I will not be getting it by deadline, and I will not be paying for it either, because I am not supposed to pay for a government-issued ID. I am a Barbadian citizen. I am a young woman of the land. You get what I'm saying? So it's my first ID that I have to go and change from my normal ID, the normal blue ID that don't run out unless it get crinkly, or you lost it, then you will go and pay for it because you lost it. But if you have your blue ID, you can take your blue ID, which is supposed to be legal from what I knew, and get a new ID, want to exchange your old one for your new one. So got me baffled is why one of forcing if one of working with these people. If the government working with these people to the factor of these people what them want, right?
Mm-hmm.
If them was ever so evil or whatever plans that they have, why didn't they not see it? Then your old ID expires and it gets old and crinkly. The next ID, when you bring your new ID, you will receive that. Now that would have been calm, simple, and not panical. You understand?
Yes.
But you see them come pushing this vibration, and then we know like the people in working there. Furthermore, the bills and the gate and then the foundation, and then people happen to be owning the system where the thing is vibrating. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
And we see as young people that last year, not even 6 months ago, most of the big hotels and casinos that is deal with big money business inside of Las Vegas, and different systems were hacked, and the information the people was put up for thousands of millions of dollars in ransom. So we as young people could see this, and we want to know, seeing that the Barbados government system have been hacked many times throughout these past seasons, years, and decades, more so these months, and years that have to pass. So why are we going to give them access? None of us young people ain't asked the government or whoever then to put our information together. And then it is also accessible by hack or by tweet or when I say a feature. Then it is accessible by feature for you to access my bank account as a government and count my money and do other things. And then no. I never asked for none of my information to be put up like that. There right now at this point, my ID card is inside my bedroom. I am outside. I don't have to walk with it because if I have to drive, I don't have to walk with my ID card. I have to walk with my driver's license. ID card is in there. If I have a driver's license, I walk with that. But the ID card for the children's scariness also is that when you got your ID card and you outside now and the government stop you and say, yeah, you give me your ID card. Oh, you Bob, you got to take charges. Oh, you fill up, you will pay child support. You want it in the court. You get what I'm saying? So these are things that the children will be scared of because nobody is putting themselves in to lock up themselves. So these things that the government got to put in perspective when they say why the children are not doing what they want us to do because the government could only say jump. We don't have to jump. When it could jump, people could tell the government to jump, but no one can tell us to jump because the government is forgetting. These are not the same children that get kidnapped on board. These are children that learning things very fast. The internet itself, that the so-called higher powers want to shut down in the next 3 to 4 months, I guess, for long good for them. But if they shut down the internet, what?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Me, I'm telling you, this is really, really powerful. The viewers are really enjoying this. Unfortunately, we have to stop tonight, but I have your number and we will call each other. And I will tell you the next one that we are doing, the next march, which will be pushing, us being citizens, because they will have to tell us what are the services that as a citizen of Barbados I would not be getting, because I'm not after January 31st. I'm no longer a citizen. So we're going to contact you, Sunshine, and we're going to work on something, okay? Thank you so much for calling.
Thank you, everybody. And also, you have to ask them why they will be taking the personal ID from the people. Yes, because the other IDs, which are your ID, which are your driver's license and your passport, there's your personal ID. The government issue ID is that one. So why would the personal IDs not be so affected? Even that have me scared in a way like, what you're all doing? You're all sound like you're all pushing another vibration probably that we don't want. And we see the push that when I met in our last 3 years vibration there, so don't come with no other push right now, ain't looking the same. But you kisses people have a most wonderful night. Just remember in the future, positive thoughts only. And if you don't want something, that is your thought and that is your energy. You don't want it and take to it.
Yes.
You want to know when about what energy as a people and you know where your energy is. You know where your energy is.
Yes.
When your energy gets cast down. You
yes.
Ignore, it's no. Not ignore and you want to stop saying yes, or you want to feel saying yes, or you want to say no. It's no, and you stand where you stand in way. Push and go forward, push and go. You have a wonderful night. Everybody take care. Bless.
All right. Thank you, my darling. Very good. Very good. Wow. It's refreshing to hear from young people. You're an old man.
Well, there, look, jeez. You'd be surprised, the first time I realized that it was getting old, a little boy, he was misbehaving, in a group of young people, and I said to him, little schoolboy, and I spoke to them, because we see electrician going off, I make it my business to see if I can talk to them. And the boy continued. And the group, and they say, you hear what that old man tell you? I said, you mean me,
Well, it's sunshine now, but I mean, all fun and jokes aside, this is what you've been saying, Mr. Franklin, that you do not believe that that the numbers that they're saying that have taken the ID that are pinned up with this ID that many have pinned. So it's a whole propaganda that they are pushing, right? And I think that is important to say. Let me just respond to this person here who put this on. Marcia, did you come out and march for GIS abuse of the young children? Can I tell you, Smiling Butterfly, that I was the person who called for that march for the GIS, okay? Right here on my show. And through this show, when the show was finished, then I gave the people a Zoom link, and they came on the Zoom link and planned the march. All right? So I'm not sure what's the purpose of that question, but yes. But go ahead, Mr. Franklin. Back on track. I just thought I had to answer that.
I lost my train of thought there.
Sorry.
I saw an article somebody was sending around today, where Davison Ishmael was saying way back into that we have 208,000 people were also registered for the ID. That was not the truth. But they were pushing those numbers for the longest time, trying to give the people the impression that everybody's getting it. Because if you had that many people so early you're begging people months after that to come and get the ID, because almost everybody, because you have 208,000 people getting an ID, having that ID or applying for it. That's almost the population of Barbados. Because we only got 280,000 people or something, so that means only 80,000 people hadn't applied for it in the very early stages. So that was a lie. And I do not like when people lie to me. I do not. The old people always just you can trust a thief, but you can't trust a liar. And I find that more and more of these government officials are making themselves untrustworthy.
Yes.
Because of their pronouncements. And we know better. You don't have to be any scientist or anybody or any Einstein to realize that what they're saying is not true. And when you have a situation where you can't trust your leaders, when you can't trust your mother, when you can't trust your teachers, that does not bode well for the future of this place. You got to have somebody, when the body stand up and say, this is my word and that's my bond, I will stick to it regardless. But no, we're having too many politicians because they have a goal to achieve. And the young lady was right, Sunshine was right. This thing is imposed on us on the outside, because how come Barbados and Australia and Canada all they come up with the same idea at the same time? To have this digital ID? This is not a homegrown thing. This is something that Mayor Motley wouldn't stay home and mind her business. She go out there and people tell her to do it, she come here and do it. I don't know if it is because then when you want the people money, you have to dance to the tune. He who pays the piper calls the tune. But this is not homegrown. This is not something that we came up with. These draconian measures that they were put in place on us to get an ID card is dictated by people on the outside. If it is the World Economic Forum, whoever, I do not know. But I know it ain't come up from Mayor Motley, because I don't know of any good ideas that she ever had. She had EduTech, that didn't work. She had the prison, but she went and get people from overseas, a criminal company to do the building. Nothing that she has ever been working. She has this kind of reverse Midas touch, Everything that she touches turns not to gold, but to something that you put in the water. That they put in the water. I want to put in the water now.
Yeah.
So it is not her idea. And the way it was brought into force in Barbados, when they sneak it through Parliament and didn't tell anybody anything, something has to be wrong. If this was so good for you, they would announce it to the world and let everyone know what they were doing. But they sneak it through Parliament in one sitting
One second,
Didn't
but
tell anybody.
Mr. Franklin, I want the 486 of us to notice something of the video. Mr. Franklin, the video that I showed when they had that healthy debate in Parliament in Australia. Did you see it, Mr. Franklin?
Yes, I was looking.
Yes, they were in Parliament, my fellow Barbadians. The 485 of us watching at the moment. I want to think about it. And the reason they were able to debate it in Parliament, because in Australia they have an opposition. Do you understand? Okay? They have an opposition, so that's why they have that healthy debate that we can be watching it here in Barbados. In Barbados, we do not have that. We do not have that opposition in the Parliament. You see,
But
and
not only that,
yeah.
they have rules to follow. They have to publish it for the public. The government is not doing that. Look, when a bill is proposed in the House of Assembly, people said that they lay in the House and they said this bill be read the first time. You hear that? That's only a lot of gobbledygook, for meaning that you are supposed to send it to the printer for printing and circulate around the country. But when you pass it, when you introduce it, and then you amend the standing orders or suspend the standing orders rather, to say that we are going to pass it, all it says is one day, you skip the point where it goes up to the public. That is what the government would have done. So nobody knows. Mind you, the law still requires it to be published in the official gazette. The bill is supposed to be published in the official gazette. So they now publish it in the official gazette, and they're actually saying to you, we intend to pass this legislation that we have already passed. But that clearly wouldn't pass muster in Australia. But it happens in Barbados all the time.
Yeah.
It is in breach of the rules of the House, but they do it nonetheless. And they do it, both parties do it. It's not only this one, but when they were in opposition, they complained that it was wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then they come in and they have done it more than anybody else.
Yeah. But thanks to that, Mr. Franklin, and the point I really want to also drive home to the almost 500 of us watching is that we have to be the voice of the opposition. Do you understand that? There's no party that is standing for this. We heard in the beginning, the leader of the Democratic Labour Party stood up and he was speaking out about this issue. We no longer hear his voice. And that's why people like myself and Caswell and Kimar and Pastor Ferdinand and all of you who come on here, we have to continue. Do you understand? It is not that we want to make trouble. It is not that we want to be controversial as they have labeled me, but it's because there is no opposition as there is in Australia. They're going to have a problem putting that in Australia. You see, but they feel like they're going to slip it in here. And they know there's no opposition. The WEF knows that. All of these international bodies know that. But what they did not depend on, they did not count on was the people of Barbados. They did not count on that we are going to stand up. They didn't realize that we were going to push back. Barbados, I'm telling you, I can see it clearly. I can see the changes happening, Mr. Franklin. The people are rising up and the citizens are saying, you cannot tell me I'm not a citizen. That is what is happening in this country at this moment. At this moment, because there's no opposition. We are going to talk for ourselves. Yes. But go ahead, Nigel. Go ahead.
When we elect a government, to speak for us.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't elect an opposition this time, so to speak for us. So we have to do it ourselves. And it's as simple as that. And that's why I am here. Because I remember I started on your show when they imposed these national insurance measures, or whether intended to impose these national insurance measures. And this show caused them to pull back some of them, because it was obviously a dirty business that they were trying to engage in. But we caught them. We caught them. And they have to pull back and do another bill and then do another bill contrary to the law, because the law says that you can't do it in this, you can't do that same bill twice in the same session. They would have to prorogue Parliament. But instead, they suspend the standing orders to say that they can do it again, and to allow them to do it again, but they did not suspend the standing orders in accordance with the rules, because when you're going to suspend the standing orders, you must give notice. They didn't get anybody notice. They came in there and passed it just like that and tell people, oh, we suspend the standing orders. And that is another thing that we have to do on this show, is to teach people how Parliament works, how the Constitution works, so that people will be aware when things are happening that they will know something wrong here. Even if they don't know this particular section to quote, they will know that there's somewhere. And that's something that we have to do here to educate people, because they don't teach it in schools. And I suspect they don't teach it in schools because they don't want you to know. They want you to be ignorant. And we have a lot of ignorance, and it is ignorance that is designed. They do not want the people to know. They want people who can just be there and follow them blindly. That is why you get them the red shirt and whip them up and all kind of stuff, because you want people to follow you blindly without thinking for yourselves. So in order to, if they have given you the information and taught you what's supposed to do, you'll be able to think for yourselves. So they keep the information away from you. These are things that should be taught in schools.
Yeah. Yes. And I wrote it down as something that we need to look at as well. And also with that, what it means to be a citizen. I think our next March need to be focused on that, because that is what this ID thing is trying to say, that we're not going to be seen as citizens as it relates to the services that are offered to us. And I think that we need to take a look at that. But we have Mr. Nigel here with us, Mr. Franklin, and he did such a brilliant presentation. And so, Nigel, I see, are you there? Let me make sure your mic,
Yes,
I think I muted you. Good night, Mr. Newton. How are you?
Oh, good night, Marcia. I am fine, thank you.
Yes, sir. Great to have you. Great to have you. But you gave such a wonderful presentation. It was 1 week ago, exactly 1 week ago. And sir, I want to ask you if you could just kindly summarize for us in just a couple of minutes. Can you remind us what's the essence of that piece that you did on governance? Can you summarize for us?
Yes, I will make the effort to summarize for you. In essence, I think that the government is way out of order. They are not operating according to parliamentary procedure. They are not operating in a way that is good for the country and the citizens. I think the government is really extremely dictatorial and disrespectful of the citizens. And as I said also, that Parliament is not properly constituted, and therefore some of the decisions that the government is making, they're questionable, because there is no functioning opposition party in the Parliament that would bring balance to national debate on critical issues. All right. So, and then again, too, I am of the view that Barbados is not truly a democracy. It is not truly a democracy. And if you really examine what has been going on for the past, 5 years, you will see that the decisions that are being made are made by a dictator with no consultation, with no interest in the people. The government is just doing what it likes, right? So basically, I am calling for accountability. I am calling for responsible leadership, for ethical leadership. I am calling for respect for the citizens.
Mm-hmm. Someone is saying, "Who is this man?" And it's my fault. I should have introduced it because, it's not the same crowd all the time. So, this is Mr. Nigel Newton, and he is a lecturer. That's as much as we're going to say. We're not going to say where he lectures, and he is also he's a former probation officer, and yeah, so and he's a lecturer of philosophy, and who gave such an amazing presentation last week Friday. We've had to have him to come back. No, he's not a pastor, Mark. If that's you're asking, he's not a pastor. He's not a pastor. All right, all right. So Nigel, so you have so the main thing that you want us to take away would be what? Give us in one sentence. What's the main thing you want us to take away?
That the citizens of Barbados have constitutional rights, and that when those rights are violated, the citizens have a moral and ethical duty to call the government to account and demand accountability, and to the people themselves, based on the knowledge I have, the people themselves can take certain steps to hold the government accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Civil disobedience, whenever a government oversteps its boundary and disrespect the citizens,
yes,
the citizens have a right of civil disobedience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And can you explain what when you say you're saying that when the constitutional rights have been trodden upon, that the citizens then they have the moral right to fight back, and one of the things that they can do is civil disobedience once their
Yes.
constitutional rights have been trodden up. Explain what do you mean? Give us examples of that in history.
Okay. I will have to go really far back. You would have heard me mention Professor Madden at Oxford University. He complained about what he called the primitive African democracy. Now, the background to that is that when the British conquered Africans, they found the Africans with their own system of government, democracy. In fact, some people want to say that democracy began in Greece, but that is not true. Way before there were any people called Greeks, Romans, or Arabs, or whoever, the African people had their own functioning democratic system. What happened, and that system worked in this way. The British and the other Europeans went into Africa and they wanted to impose their will on the people. And the people themselves said no to that. So that, and what caused the problem for Professor Madden is that each time the chief or the king would make a decision that displeased the people will remove them from the throne. Mm-hmm. That is a very vivid example of civil disobedience. I also recall, I'm sure you would have heard about Shaka Zulu in the South Africa area. In his kingdom, there were problems. He had encountered some problems in his leadership. And one of the things Shaka Zulu, one of the decisions he made was that the people themselves will have to abstain from sexual intercourse for a particular period of time. Mm-hmm. And the mothers in the nation they were very shocked at it, and they said, well, surely the king has gone mad. He is trying to prevent life itself. He is trying to destroy life itself. And the people pressured Shaka Zulu, and he recanted. Those are two historic examples of civil disobedience. And of course, we would know of Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X.
Who was and let me just say, because there's somebody in here, even though I said you're not a pastor, they're still saying that the pastor is calling for riots. Now, Martin Luther King was an ordained minister, and so can you go into a little more detail about that, Martin Luther King and civil disobedience, and how that would have helped us to be where we are today as Black people?
But well, let me use Barbadian parlance. The whole world knows that the American South and the nation of America was very brutal to African Americans. And the time came when the African Americans said, well, look, this is not good enough. We have had enough of this. And Rosa Parks and the others decided, look, we have had enough of this, and this got to stop. No government has a legal, moral, or ethical excuse or reason to oppress and violate the civil rights of any citizen. And citizens themselves have a right, duty, and responsibility to hold the government to account. And whenever the government oversteps its boundaries, the people should act. And I'm not calling for the riot. I'm simply saying if the government goes against accepted democratic standards and disrespects the people, the citizens, what do you expect the citizens to do?
Yeah. You know, I think sometimes, you know, I came on here and said something, and I was saying how in some countries this is what would happen, etc., etc. And people were saying that I'm trying to advocate rioting, and you know, and when I wasn't saying anything of the sort, and they don't realize that civil disobedience is you have that right. You have that right. And I say that to people, you know, there are people who are saying, oh, you know, don't take any, don't get a protest, a permit to protest. Don't do all of that. And I think that it reaches a point where you're going to have to decide individually that this is what you want. When there is going to come that time, you know, when the people will decide what it is that they want. But Mr. You made reference to an African kind of governance. And I want you to describe that a little bit more for us. You know, I want to hear more about that. We have another, say about 12 more minutes with you, and then I'm going to have to get you on another time. But talk to me about this African way of governance.
In traditional Africa, they had democracy, true, genuine democracy that gave the people absolute power. Okay? And they had their own constitution. For example, you would have heard me mention some political theories in my presentation. I refer to the political theories and principles of ancient African constitutional law and the fundamental rights of the African people. And Article 1 of the African Constitution said, the people are the first and final source of all power. That's traditional Africa. And that is Africa before the Europeans and Arabs went in and conquered the people and oppressed them and established their own system of governance. Okay? So in traditional Africa, our ancient homeland, the first article in their constitution was, the people are the first and final source of all power. Article 2, the rights of the community of people are and of right ought to be superior to those of any individual, including chief and king. It said, the will of the people is the supreme law. Chief and king are under the law, not above the law. That's the background from which we came. But you see, when, as I said to you in the other, in the presentation, when the Europeans went into Africa, they were unable to control and dictate the Africans because the people themselves had the power to decide. And Professor Madden, to his students, he complained and he said, in fact, they labeled the African democracy pagan and backward. Okay? And Professor Madden's position was, this primitive system of African democracy has to be destroyed before British indirect rule could be imposed on the people. And the chief and the kings did not oppose, you know. It was the people. They opposed. So, and I think what I should say to you also is that you should read the book that I have for you that I want to refer you to is The Destruction of Black Civilization, Great Issues of a Race from 4500 BC to 2000 AD by Chancellor Williams. And you will find from page 61 to 175, for example, page 61, the African Constitution, Birth of African Democracy. Okay. Democracy was in Africa.
Can you say that again for me? The destruction of Black civilization?
Yes, the destruction of Black civilization.
Mm-hmm.
Great Issues of a Race.
Mm-hmm.
From 4500 BC to 2000 BC. It was written by Chancellor Williams. He was a professor at the university there in Washington, D.C., Howard University. Howard University. He did extensive research on the plight of African people across the globe. So chapter 6 is African Democracy, African Constitution, Birth of African Democracy. And then page 70, you have some political theories and principles of ancient African constitutional law and the fundamental rights of the African people. And then finally, on page 74 to 75, you have the fundamental rights of the African people. We have lost all of that through conquest and colonization. And I'm saying that if we are to change our condition in the world, then we are going to have to re-engage our cultural register, and um, our constitutional law. Okay, because clearly what we have in Barbados and in the West is not democracy. We need to return to true democracy if we are to solve our problems.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Newton. So there's a question here, and after this, I'm going to ask Mr. Franklin or Hemar if they have a question for Mr. Newton. Mr. Newton, there's a question here. It says, Mr. Newton, by Tyrone Nurse, how should we go about accountability or action or organize against the government?
The the march is a typical example, right? We march from time to time. That is one of the examples. We can petition the government. We can strike. Now, back in 2017, 2018, when the other government was in office, were there not strikes against the government? And did we not hear "Give me the vote and watch me"? Isn't that another form of organizing? Because we all know that the other side at that time were in cahoots with the business class, and they organized and they undermined and they took control. And now that they have power, what are they doing? They're utterly disrespectful of the citizens, and they're doing what they like. Now, for example, in 2022, in fact, the general election was in 2018, and 3.5 years into the government, that government abolished parliament and held general elections in the midst of the the pandemic. Hundreds of people were disenfranchised. But let me go a little further. Let me go back. That decision was made out of spite. The decision to cancel or to prorogue Parliament was made out of spite, because Caswell Franklin was too much for them. And that was a way of silencing Caswell Franklin and taking control of Barbados. So if the government is so bold-fisted to take such unjust and corrupt action, must we, the citizens, lie down and play dead and allow the government to do as it please? No. We are human beings, we have rights, and in my philosophy, anytime a government disrespects the citizens and trample on their rights, the citizens have a right to say no.
Yeah. Wow, very, very, very deep tonight, guys. Mr. Franklin or Hemar, any questions for Mr. Newton? I'm going to also ask anybody else in the audience, if you have a question to pose to Mr. Newton, to go ahead and to type it. Any questions, panelists?
Yeah, good night to everyone. Happy to be here. Good night to Mr. Newton, Caswell, and Marcia, and good night to the loyal opposition members. Good to be with you on another Friday. Happy Sabbath to everybody, and a great weekend.
Thank you.
My question to Mr. Newton is about the point he made about Africa. Like, I put in the comments that the downfall of Africa was indeed that of sellout leaders and sellout leadership who wanted to live the European lifestyle and live the colonial experience, the bedazzlement of power and wealth and the material goods that the Europeans enjoy. You had the leaders of African countries wanted to indulge in that type of gluttony, and they sold out the countries. The leadership sold out the countries, assisted by the French, right? Because France still has a very dangerous hold on a lot of African economies. And that is why you see Barbados as a country smelling up under France, because Barbados and the leadership we have understands the power that France still has in Africa. Right? So I wonder your thoughts on the points that I would have just made there. It stems from the contribution that you made about the African continent.
I think we are making a mistake when we blame the African leaders at that time for what happened to Africa. We fail to understand that the conquerors, the Europeans, the Arabs, that we fail to understand that they were very brutal and that they did everything possible to subjugate the African people. And the African people at one point just surrendered. And I don't believe, from my knowledge, the African people did not sell out deliberately. They had no choice but to submit at the time. And I want to cross-reference that. Do you think that there were no sellouts, according to you, during World War II? You don't hear about it, but there were many people of the Jewish faith who sold out and to save themselves. But you don't hear anybody talking about what the Jews in Germany did when they sold out to protect themselves. But we are always saying, oh, Africans sold us and blah, 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 blah. We need to respect ourselves. And we need to truly, we need a really incisive philosophical analysis of history so that we can clear away the fog that is beclouding our minds and then come up to the correct decisions rather than perpetuate the kind of self-abuse that we as African people continue to do.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Newton, for your comment or answer to that. Mr. Franklin, do you have a question for Mr. Newton? Wait. Yes. Go ahead, Mr. Franklin. Go ahead.
It's not necessarily a question. It might be some agreement with some of the things that he said, but I can touch the last thing first. Because I've heard a lot of people say the Africans sold out. The problem, Africans fought with spears and bows and arrows. The Europeans came with gunpowder. That put a decided advantage in the hands of the conquerors, because Africans didn't have the gunpowder experience. So it wasn't merely a question of selling out, it was a question merely of survival. But that's another thing. But tonight I wanted to speak on something, and I'm glad Mr. Newton spoke to it, because I have in my hand a document called the Public Accounts Committee Act. I wanted to speak with that from the beginning, but I started because of my anger with what happened to the nurses. And it tied right into what Mr. Newton was talking about when he's saying that we ain't got no function in opposition. And no opposition party, hence no functioning public accounts committee. We have in Barbados specialization that calls itself the Public Accounts Committee Act. And this Public Accounts Committee is supposed to investigate the reports, the spending of government, and also the reports of the Auditor General. But nobody is doing that now. And the chairman, you see, is supposed to be the leader of the opposition. And government does not see it fit to make any amendments to that act so that we can have a chairman and have this act function, this committee, this vital committee of parliament functioning, because it is supposed to consist of members of the House and the Senate. But they just go ahead without any restraints, any on their power, because they figure, well, Public Accounts Committee might what? We don't need it because we are going to do what we want to do. And Mr. Newton was very clear, and he pointed out that this government needs opposition. It needs civil disobedience. When we strike, that is civil disobedience. So when some person was talking about in the chat saying that or asking us to do rats or whatever they were talking about, no, nobody's talking about that. Civil disobedience doesn't mean that you go out there and plant rocks at anybody or guns or anything. It just means that you do not cooperate with the bad behavior that the government is doing. And so I want to thank Mr. Newton again, more so than come and question, but thank, because he too is opening the eyes of people in this country, because we need people like him. We need people who are educated, who understand and know what should be happening, because the parliament is not functioning as intended or as the constitution intends. It is, when I have to call them, a bunch of wild boys. but this time they got a wild girl leading.
Thank you for that contribution, Mr. Franklin. Mr. Newton, before we go on, I know that there are people who said they wanted to get your presentation, and I'm going to ask them to message me. I need to get their email addresses. Okay, the people, if you send me your email address, then we'll be able to get it sent to you. All right. So 236-7000. 236-7000. Send the email so that we can send you the presentation. But Mr. I know you have something else up your sleeve coming. Can you tell us what else are you preparing for us, sir?
Oh, got me a little there by surprise because I was so caught up in the earlier discussion that I lost my train of thought there. But okay, what was it? I am working on other documents. In fact, let me touch one of them, not the real one that I was working on, but for example, with reference to the incident at the St. Philip Polyclinic today or yesterday, that is deeply troubling. And I think here again, this is where the country, the government, is not leading in an effective and transparent way to assist the youth. I believe that rather than going and doing all of the things, flying all over the world and meeting this body and mixing with this body, and our education system and the government should really focus on the young people and try to train them and sensitize them about nation building, social construction, and economic development. Okay, we need to focus in those areas. But I remember some years ago, I did a presentation on, I studied this difficulty with the young men and so on. And I did prepare a presentation. It's called The Challenges and Responsibilities of Manhood, Empowering Males for Authentic Existence. I think as a society, we need to really reflect on what the challenges are. What are the challenges to our young men? We need to clearly understand those challenges. Then we also need to investigate the responsibilities of a man and teach our young men what their challenges are and their responsibilities of good citizens. Okay, and in that way, if we can concentrate on the challenges and the responsibilities of manhood and seek to empower males for authentic existence, I think that we can nip the bug, the crime bug, to a considerable degree. And that is one of the things I would like to present on this show when I take you through the challenges and responsibilities of manhood uh, um, to help to assist the young people. And by the way, Marcia, may I say thank you for this opportunity to share my perspective on the critical issues impacting our nation. And I want to commend you for the excellent work you are doing with the young people, because they are not our future only, they are our present, and they will be taking us into the future. Right?
Yes.
So I
love
commend
that.
you.
They are present.
They are our present, and they will be taking us into the future because, like Caswell and myself, we don't have another 50 years on planet Earth. So when we go, when we
I
leave,
wish.
well, I, Brother Caswell, I know where I came from, and I know where I'm going back to. Okay? There was a time when I was not here, when we all were not here. We came, we sojourned, and the time is going to come when we will
We
have
will
to say
leave.
goodbye to Earth. Okay. And I would leave this here with you, Marcia, in my commendation to you and your work with the young people. I like to leave a quote from Frantz Fanon. Frantz Fanon said, "Out of relative obscurity, each generation must discover its mission, fulfill it, or betray it." Out of relative obscurity, each generation must discover its mission, fulfill it, or betray it. And the Marcia Weeks show and its work with not only the adults but with the young people is helping us to in one stage re-examine our mission, and is trying to guide or help the young people to discover their mission so that together we can build a stable, prosperous, just, and ethically functioning democratic Republic of Barbados.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Newton. I'm telling you, I can't wait for you to tell me when we need to book you again to come back on. People are sending me messages. They want to get that presentation. Thank you so much, Mr. Newton. We could listen to your entire night. We do have some other pressing issues that we have to deal with. But whenever you come on, this is the second time, and here you're moving us to, as my young person say, a different vibration. Thank you so much. God bless you, Mr. Newton, and we're gonna chat. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye. It's always great. I love that. You hear that, Kima? You are not the future, you're our present. And that is so true. Because you have been bringing some amazing, I call them revelations. You get some downloads, my brother. You are our present, Kimar. Kimar, you are our present. Theory is our present. I had a fantastic talk with those young men, Kimar, that's going to present on Sunday at the BARROW celebrations. It's going to be a feast, Mr. Franklin. Those young people who are our present, they are going to talk to us about what is going to happen, where their vision for Barbados in 20 years. That's what they're going to present on. And I can't wait. I was on the phone with one of them today. I had to try to fight to get him off because I had so much doing. But they are on fire. So we're very excited about what is going to happen. But we are going to we have some minutes left back, and we're going to go speed dial Nigel, not Nigel, Kimar, and Mr. Franklin. And I want us to quickly make some comments. I'm hoping that we can finish at the, we might not be able to finish at the 10 o'clock, but we need to hurry and get off of here, I know. But I saw something, a newspaper article coming out of St. Vincent. And it talked about the president of the Caribbean Development Bank. And it stated, this is the Eyewitness News in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, states that the Caribbean Development President's computer, tablet were seized as he sent on leave until April. Remember, we talked about this in the last Marcia Week show. And it says that the president of the Barbados-based Caribbean Development Bank, Jean Leon, Mr. Leon, has been sent on administrative leave until April this year, as an ongoing administrative process continues at the region's premier financial institution. And I'm going to talk to you guys about, remind us of what is the purpose of the CDB and how it relates to us here in the region. And the base is here in Barbados, and some of what I'm hearing relates to what's happening here, right? There's a connection to what's happening to him is connected to Barbados. So listen up. Well-placed sources told Caribbean Media Corporation that Leon's computer and tablet have been seized and are questioning how the board of directors could have taken a decision against the bank's president without the knowledge of the board of governors. So even within them, there is some discrepancy. The president is the highest ranking official in the bank appointed by the board of governors, and the board has not been made aware of the situation at the bank. The sources told CMC, adding, the question is, how is this possible for a lower body, which is the board of directors, to send the highest member of the bank without informing the board of governors? According to the CDB website, though, the board of directors is responsible for the general policy and direction and the operations of CDB. The board takes decisions concerning loans, guarantees, and other investments by CDB, borrowing programs, technical assistance, and other operations of the bank. Now, I went on the CDB website to just to look up the how does that affect us, the CDB? How does the CDB affect us here in the Caribbean? The Caribbean Development Bank, the website says, was established for the purpose of contributing to the harmonious economic growth and development of the member countries in the Caribbean. To achieve the purpose, CDB assists its borrowing members countries to optimize the use of their resources, develop their economies, and expand production and trade. And this is why it matters to us what is happening at the Caribbean Development Bank. The CDB promotes private and public investment, encourages the development of the financial upturn in the region, and facilitates business activity and expansion. The CDB mobilizes financial resources from both within and outside the region for development. The CDB is supposed to provide technical assistance to its regional members. The CDB supports regional and local financial institutions and a regional market for credit and savings. The CDB supports and stimulates the development of capital markets in the region. And so when something like this happens, it's not something that we can, Mr. Franklin, just turn a blind eye to. This is a major development. So it means that, there is there's some issue that is happening there. And I know that I'm hearing that people who know this gentleman is saying that he's a very bright man, very bright economist from St. Lucia, and that they're surprised at what is happening. But there are all kinds of rumors that are all over the place that I'm not going to repeat any of the rumors on here. But to say that, we don't know if it is very possible that, it could, ministers of government could possibly be, we don't know what roles that they play in all of what is happening here. But there is a lot of stuff that is floating, and it is important. This is important to us that we understand what is really happening at the Caribbean Development Bank. Right, Mr. Franklin, I see you push forward. You're ready to make a comment?
No, I'm shocked, to tell the truth, because at a premier institution, even this a little two-door bank does not behave in this way. Because the confidence of the is one of the assets that a bank must have. Confidence in its business. So, like for instance, even at a local bank, not even a development bank, savings a bank that you go and borrow loans and save money at, they try their best to keep their business in house.
Mm-hmm.
When there is bad behavior at those institutions, the banks try to shut it down, even people who should not be paid out, because they don't want their business to be public. Mm-hmm. And they do not want to destroy the confidence that their customers will have in the bank. So now, this is a regional diplomatic institution.
Yeah.
Because it is a diplomatic institution. And that does not show any diplomacy in the way that this matter has been handled so far. Now, I don't know any of the facts. I've heard things, but I'm not going to repeat them either, simply because some of them are defamatory. But what I can say to you is that you do not treat a person at that level the way that he's been treated. Mind you, the board of governors, the two institutions, can't remember both of them now. But the people who suspended him are not the people who appoint him. I don't know the rules well enough, or I don't know them at all, to determine if they do have that power. But it seems that if you are the person who is going to discipline a person, you got to be the person who appoint them. Because there's a little thing that people say, who appoints can disappoint. But the body that purporting to assign him on leave, I don't know if they have that kind of power. And if they have that kind of power, you don't exercise it in this way. Because this man, he doesn't look like me with a lot of gray hair. So he might still be relatively young. Marcia, no way old people know. So that's a young lady, young lady, you old.
Not me. I'm not old people.
Well, young people call you old.
No, she could call me that. I'm not the old people.
And you have to, unless you want to destroy him, you don't make these things public. Because let's say whatever they accuse him of, he ends up being innocent. I'm not even saying not guilty, but innocent. Meaning that what they accuse him of didn't happen. How are you going to recover from that? Will he be comfortable working with those same people that did this to him? That is why you have to be. You see, you cannot be so arrogant as to believe that what you are doing is absolutely right and that there are no strictures on your behavior. You have to behave in a certain way. Now, if he's done something wrong, I got no problem with dealing with it. But at this level, you don't have it in the Torchlight, the Nation, this body news. I see a few of them on WhatsApp circling around the place. He, mind you, to his credit, he has not said anything. But at least if he says something, he ain't saying that nobody reported me. So I still feel that he's probably the only diplomat left there in that institution, because he is the person who's the president who should know how to behave. And we got to watch this, because sometimes you might be looking to find a job for somebody else, and you don't mind who you destroy to get your man there. I am not saying that is the case. I'm not saying so. I'm just saying that is a scenario that you have to be mindful of. We do not want this thing happening. This won't happen anywhere else.
Yeah. I just know it smells like the movement of certain people. We in Barbados, we that live here in this country know that have the smell and the movement of certain. It feels that way. Kimar, do you have any comments on this? You're muted. Wait. You're mute. Unmute. Unmute. Yes.
Yeah. Good night again. Unfortunately, I did not receive the text messages that you guys received. How as to inform me what was being rumored. All I saw was a newspaper article suggesting that the president was sent on administrative leave, but they were not saying why he was sent on a leave. Now, the CDB as an institution, as you said, is based in Barbados, which means that the government of Barbados will have to be in a know or have to be in support of whoever occupies the head of the organization. So the IDB has its office here. The African Exim Bank has an office here. And the CDB has the office here. As far as I know, Mia Motley and Barbados did not support his name is Hyginus Leon, Dr. Hyginus Leon, for president of the CDB. We supported Avinash Prasad. Right?
Okay. I didn't know that. I'm knowing Ricky Straker was the first person who said that. So, yeah.
Yes, we openly supported Avinash Prasad. So we see clearly.
But he wasn't qualified. Don't mind what people pretend to have qualifications, but keep married, you do missing some things, And the other country said, no, the man, there's a joker, he's a fraud and stuff, and they didn't want him. And he cannot come and say, well, look, you thought man qualified, here are my papers. So he got the job. So I don't, that's what I'm telling you. That's why I'm not saying anything more, because, it smells.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me hear Kimar. Go ahead, Kimar.
So when I the CDB, the board of directors, right, is made up of a plethora of people, many different countries, right? All of the borrowing countries usually have 2 appointees, right? The appointees for Barbados on the board of the CDB, the same people who they claim saying the president may leave, the two appointees from the board of directors are the Mr. Ian Carrington, who's the Director of Finance and Economic Affairs in Barbados, and the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Finance, which is Mrs. Nancy Haley, right? However, now, when you look at who are on the board of governors, which they are saying that the governors were not informed, the two appointees for governors of the CDB for Barbados is, again, Ian Carrington and the Prime Minister. Hey. So if you really check it out, there's a lot of cross collaboration on people being both on the board of directors and the board of governors. So I'm not saying that they had to know or that they knew, because they say that they did it, right? I'm just giving an observer's point of view. But when you check it out, you have people occupying chairs in both rooms, right? Which means that Barbados could never ever claim ignorance, that they did not know that this stuff was happening, because Ian Carrington is on both the board of directors and the board of governors, right? So he knew. And if he knew, the Prime Minister, obviously, you know that she will know, right? So I don't expect that we will get a proper explanation for it. I think that we will get a cover-up. However, what I do realize is that the last year they appointed one or two new persons at a high level in the organization, CEOs or whatever, and most of these economists come from Trinidad, right? The last person they hired was somebody from Answer Bank, and you know Answer Bank has a big operation in Barbados as well. Right? So you have to look and see what is happening behind the scenes, and probably who they're trying to clear the way to give somebody a specific job, because Dr. Leon, no constable, he worked for the IMF. You know, he was a senior representative for the IMF, right? And then he was given the job at the CDB. I did not read that deep in to see what was his mandate or his agenda for the bank. But like I said, he has a long history of working with the International Monetary Fund. What's interesting though about the CDB at the level of board of governors, the name of it is the Caribbean Development Bank. Right? You hear the word Caribbean.
Yeah.
However, on the board of governors of the CDB, you have United Kingdom. Their Minister of State.
They put in money. So that money gives them a seat.
You have Italy on the board of the CDB. Right? You have Germany on the board of the CDB. You have China on the board of the CDB. Right? You have Canada on the board of governors of the CDB. Venezuela is on the board of governors of the CDB. Mexico is on there, right? Colombia is on there. Brazil is on there, right? And all the rest of the Caribbean countries. So it's not essentially a Caribbean bank, although they call it the Caribbean Development Bank. Much of how the African Exim Bank hardly has any Africans on it, but it's called the African Exim Bank. But the flow of this type of capital, because I'm sure if we pull up the loan portfolio of CDB, you'll see that Barbados owes the CDB substantial amounts of money as well too. Right? We owe them quite a little bit of money. So you're saying that
we do.
The flow of capital through these multilateral banks like the CDB and the IMF and the IADB. Um, they are basically putting their men in place, or whatever, to mobilize this international money into small developing countries, and they're tending to lump Barbados into the African portfolio. Right?
Yes.
They're lumping us onto the African region. So mainland Africa and then the Caribbean will become like a basin or extension of Africa based off the classifications that the CDB and the IDB and the IMF and these big institutions. And that is why Barbados, and I started to hear about it when Mr. Newton was on, it's all over Africa right now. Hey. So I'm not too far from the topic. So as far as I know, right, the St. Lucian Prime Minister does not support the government of Barbados. Does not. Because the St. Lucian Prime Minister, Mr. Philip Pierre, he came to Barbados and he addressed the Democratic Labour Party's conference. Right? He was seen here in photos socializing with the Democratic Labour Party. He directly addressed the Democratic Labour Party. But however, he did not have that level of respect for the governing administration, because if he did,
and Kumar, if I can ask you a question there, wasn't it the former prime minister that was allegedly involved in the scam with the vaccine scam? Wasn't it the former, not the St. Lucian prime minister,
right.
the other, the former
Alan,
Yes.
Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense when you start to put it together. Even among the CARICOM, there's some kind of stuff happening there. Quite interesting.
Yeah, because I went to watch Philip Pierre at the BARROW Center for Creative Imagination. I was there. I went there. I saw him. And it was a Democratic Labour Party event that he was at. Even when Mr. Pierre spoke about the unfortunate demise of Liat, I made reference to Barbados not wanting to put their portion of the severance payouts to help save Liat, and St. Lucia not being the actual member in terms of the ownership structure of Liat, right? Those were direct attacks on the Barbadian government's policies from a prime minister, right? So it shows the clear division and the lack of support that the St. Lucian government has for our current government. And then they said that Barbados and Myanmar did not support Dr. Hyginus Leon, who's a St. Lucian economist, for the job at the CDB.
A very brilliant man, by the way.
So that institution being based here, never enjoying the support of the local Barbados government and the St. Lucian government, particularly not supporting the current administration. I'm not saying anything nefarious, but you need to follow the rabbit hole and make the connections as the information comes to the forefront.
I want to read something for you. Something for you. This is from something that I was checking, but the nurses took me off and I didn't get all of it. But this is from the Mararo Waves online news. It's a Ghana website. It says the Ghana government will be seeking an official explanation from the Caribbean Development Bank, CDB, about what is going on at the Barbados headquarters financial institution after news surfaced that a number of officials were sent on leave. Vice President Barack Jagdior said yesterday, right? We are going to try to find out a bit more about what is going on and from official sources, he said when asked by Demerara Waves online news. Asked whether he was worried that Guyana, as a borrowing member, was not informed, Mr. Jagdior believed that the delay might be a timing issue, in inverted commas, and said the first information that surfaced was due to media leaks. So even Guyana didn't know what was going on around this place. That's what I'm telling you. There's a bit more in the mortar than the pestle. And I have to sit back and wait to see how this thing will play out. But we have Mr. Leon, who is more diplomatic and who is more matured than the people that he works under. So you will get this. Because he isn't saying anything. Me, I'll be screaming my head off. I'm a diplomat. But,
it's
but,
interesting. So we will wait to see. We will, as you said, time will tell. We will wait to see, but it's something that we should watch because of what the Caribbean Development Bank represents for the region and the fact that it is located here.
Not only
quite...
that, when we have a situation in Barbados where our leaders make sure even a maid in the public service has to get their blessing, what do you expect? This thing in Barbados, and he's not getting the blessing from our leader. I smell fish that have been dead for a long time. Not even just They smell fishy.
It smells fishy. It smells fishy. It feels like the hand of somebody that we know too well involved in this. But we will wait and see. Now we have
evil hand.
We have another 20 minutes here, Kimar, and we want to talk about this headline that was in the newspaper about Kensington Oval, right? And the headline. What was the headline again, Kimar? Because I'm on something else. I'm not seeing it now. Give me the headline.
It says oval vision, but I almost thought it said oral vision at first.
Sorry. Oval vision what?
Kensington to become global events hub. Exactly as we said on this show.
Correct. Now, hold a minute. Here is this. Someone said this to me. This is an interesting perspective. The person said, here we go again, another glossy headline to falsely promote the Barbados Labour Party. It seems that Ambassador Noel Lynch did not review the document detailing the legacy benefits of Kensington Oval being used as a venue for ICC 2000 World Cup and hosting the finals of that event. On that occasion, the Owen Arthur-led Barbados Labour Party spent more than 100 million to upgrade Kensington Oval. Hardly any of the legacy benefits from that investment in terms of revenue generation from the facility and from sports materialized. 17 years on, Ambassador Lynch, the tourism minister in 2007, is suggesting that Kensington Oval can become a global event hub in the same way as the world-famous Yankee Stadium and Madison Square Garden venues in New York. This view is rooted in sensationalism on behalf of the motley administration and bears no contact with common sense or fact. How can the attractiveness of a venue with a spectator capacity of under 18,000 be compared with a venue built to accommodate 100,000 spectators enjoying a wide range of sporting and entertainment activities? Promoters of international events hosted at Madison Square Garden and the Yankee Stadium would treat with great amusement the suggestion of using Kensington Oval as an alternative venue. Quite interesting commentary there. But let me start off with Kimar. Kimar, you're seeing, you saw the headline and I saw you sent it out. And I was home ranting and raving, but go ahead, let me hear you.
Well, I was saying, boy, I got to stop prophesying on this show. Preaching the word. Because exactly as we said, that they were going to, I use England in football in terms of the Wembley Stadium, right? And I said that they were going to do it. And I also said that they were going to upgrade the stadium and expand it And that's why I told you that pit rate has to move. The people living behind pit rate eventually will have to move because they're upgrading the city and they're expanding it. They're not going to expand it upward in the air, right? They have to expand it outward to create that type of capacity. We also said that they were going to use it for multi-purpose sports, not just cricket, but they have to include other sports into the Kensington Oval plan to make the revenue come back home. We can't play enough cricket to make that money. West Indies cricket is abysmal at this point. They ain't winning nothing, right? Congratulations, they won the last series, but they ain't winning enough and they ain't playing enough cricket at Kensington because most of your Kensington shut up anyway, right?
Right.
They can't play enough cricket and win enough games to pay about that $50 million, right? But I'm glad that the information is coming out now because you are seeing that they will eventually sell this stadium and it is included in the Bridgetown development plan, Marcia, because no investor is going to invest so much money to expand a stadium if it don't have some type of ownership stake in it. So hotel mixed with the entertainment package, and you run the hotel and you just shows at night at Kensington. You put restaurants, all type of stuff in it. Madison Square Garden is famous for holding like the Super Bowl. So I would even be surprised to see that the Prime Minister, and I'm prophesying here again, right? I will not be surprised now that the Prime Minister uses Rihanna to bring the Super Bowl game here to Barbados and try to get this American football to penetrate our culture in a bid to hold one of these big Madison Square Garden type events. And the big American football style events to bring one of them here in a bid to look at all these celebrities that are coming to Barbados, right? And the sport that they choose, especially Rihanna, because on Rihanna's platform, Rihanna promotes American football, right? So the fact that NOEL said, and you could look at it in his article, he says that they want to upgrade it. Looking for the two Yankee Stadium. The Yankees is a baseball game, right? Baseball, right? Rihanna promotes American culture and Americans. That is what our ambassador of Barbados. She promotes American because she makes her economic living over there, right? So to garner some type of tourism push and to garner some type of benefits from Rihanna, they're going to upgrade the stadium. They're going to try to bring, as I said, they're going to try to bring an American football game here, or they're going to try to bring a baseball game here. Sports that have no place in our culture, by the way. They're going to bring it to try to make money to help pay back that $50 million, along with all of the other monies that they'll be spending on Kensington Oval, right? But like I said, they should actually be paying us now, Marcia, because I know that NOEL probably watched the show, and the Prime Minister probably watched the show, and they told NOEL, go and write down all those ideas off the show, write down all those ideas off the Marcia show, and go and give a press conference. Because look at it, Marcia. They're watching us, right? Why verbatim they are taking our trains of thoughts and putting it in the newspaper, right? So they know. Should be. Go ahead, you go ahead.
But the question is, I want to ask Mr. Franklin this. I know you have something here, but I ask the question, and you can make your point and then answer the question. The question is, will that, we were promised. I was here when they had the World Cup and all the things that was going to happen and how much money we were going to make, and how it want to spill over into Barbados, and oh man, I bought it hook, line, and sinker, man. And it seemed like we spent $100 million back under Owen Arthur, and we got nothing for it. The Kensington Oval was just sitting there, empty for most of the time. Here we are again, Mr. Franklin, putting another $50 million in it. Is it that? Do we think that it's? Do you think that it's something that's going to be wasted again, as it was, or it is that we're going to do all of these things that Kimar is saying, and somebody here is saying that if the Kensington Oval is full, they can make $28 million in one sitting. If the finals, because of the ticket is about $1,500, almost $1,600 so one ticket. The T20 World Cup final in Barbados ticket price is $1,595 US. That's what I'm seeing here. What are your thoughts about that?
I'd like to go back to our experiences to see what happens when we try to import the United States culture. Are going to impose on us because we got the culture, the fellas walking about with the pants below the tail and things like that, but that was not imposed. That's what the fellas adopted. But when you try to get these things pushed on us, remember McDonald's? They brought McDonald's down here, and they think that everybody would want McDonald's and stuff, and then a few people went, tasted them, and went back for the crap that we eat here. So you're going to be talking about snow behave. Come. What will happen? We will expend all this money expecting to get Super Bowl and all kind of stuff. Barbados, first of all, no Super Bowl will ever come here. Because one, Barbados, the stadium, the Kensington Oval, cannot hold the numbers that a Super Bowl would want to have, and you're not going to take it. You look, the Americans talk about World Series and all kinds of stuff, and the only teams that play American teams, So you are not going to. You don't have a Barbados team in it, and the business might come out of curiosity, but not a vast majority of Barbadians. We will not fill Kensington for any baseball game, and certainly not for American football game. A few fellas go to bars and drink and jump up when the Americans have this nonsense that they call football. But it will not catch on in Barbados. So if we think, because the Prime Minister goes overseas and see these things happening, that she could then, like hold the ID cards and everything she bring back to Barbados, it will not work. What will happen is that we will just have thrown money into a deep black hole. I know, and I'm not an astronomer, but when things go in a black hole, nothing comes out. And that is what will happen to us. We will throw the money in. Somebody will snap some of that money before it gets in the black hole, and that's the end of the matter for us. And then who end up footing the bill? The local taxpayers whose money will be used to finance these flights of fancy. When I saw the thing today in the paper, I said, what nonsense these people telling me. At first I got vexed when they say the newspaper people are not as bright or as smart as they think they are. They start talking about ambassador. The second word in the article is ambassador. He is not an ambassador. You are not an ambassador at home. You are not referred to as an ambassador in your home country. You are referred to, if you are accredited to another nation, you are the ambassador to that nation. They call you ambassador out there. When you get home, you Barney. You know what I mean? You're not Ambassador Noel, Lynch, or anything like that. And people like this thing, Ambassador Liz Thompson and all kind of crap, because we like titles and we like to bamboozle people. You are an ambassador when you are accredited to another country.
You call it,
and you are never accredited. Barney. Yeah, when you come home,
Barney.
When you come home, you Barney. You know what I mean? You're an ambassador here. But seriously, why would you? And I start smelling, I got this kind of nose that I smell things. What did he do to bring home because you don't get removed from our premier embassy in the world to come and do something that you could get a committee of volunteers to do. You know, so something is wrong here. What did he do? Or what did he do to merit recall? Because this is a recall by another name, you know. You don't, look. And because of this administration, the way they behave, I always suspect that something is a cover up until such time as I'm told otherwise. Right? And I'm not hearing that angle being pushed because you blame them. And the thing is, when you read what he's saying, it isn't the news that we got before, you know. Unless he is he now comes out here and making it as it go along. Because that is what I thought when I hear him talking about all this kind of fancy things. I didn't hear anything that he's talking about in the two articles, because there was one on the back page of the Barbados Today and one on the back page of the Nation. And they were not matching what was previously stated by the Prime Minister and anybody that's involved in Kensington. So I have to wait. The jury is still out with me. And I don't know what they're doing, but
they are selling it.
I know the plan to sell it. They can't put all this investment in it for nothing. Just like the airport, they're going to sell the airport. This is the Arabs too? I don't know. But
something again fishy. Something adding up. This person here, Ryan Brathwaite. I don't want to say who he is, but I know that this information he would have it because he's done a lot of research on this. That Kimar, if they think it's not going to go like that, I don't know if they're just throwing out these things or they listen and come up with ideas. But he's saying that you have to get permission from the NFL board. Not only that, you have to start an American football development program first. That's quite interesting, eh?
Yeah, but well, these things become easy. Remember, you're dealing with governments. You're dealing with power, and a prime minister being able to reach over into those is very easy, right? Let's not forget that our prime minister was seen out there with Aquaman and all type of celebrities in America. Let's not forget that she was honored at Rihanna's Diamond Ball, right? And she's out there with the celebrities. Let's not forget that she's up there with Charles Schwab, Bill Gates, the Rockefeller Foundation. She's up there with all of them.
No, she's just a useful idiot. No. That is she ain't got no power around these people. Don't nobody fool you. She might be there smiling and shaking hands, but she is some bullshit that these people will use. Barbados does not have the kind of influence on the world stage that the Barbados Labour Party wants to project in this country. She right now is just a useful idiot.
Right. But we understand that, right? In the midst of Barbados being used, I said it being used. Let's look at it. DJ Khaled came to Barbados, right? And DJ Khaled was all over Barbados. He even tried to change the name of Barbados to Riados, which was just, I don't even want to comment what you think it would name. But he wanted to change Barbados' name to Riados, Rihanna, Barbados, whatever. And DJ Khaled was, doing all the social media. He even met the Prime Minister, right? So you could see that even the government even paid money to send businesses over to New York, right? The BTMI paid people to go over to America, right? So Barbados needs the tourism, right? Remember, we don't have a big share of a large share of American tourism as compared to Canada and the UK, right? So if, right, using DJ Khaled again and Rihanna, if they're able to upgrade Kensington into one of those big, as Lynch said, Madison Square Garden, Yankee Stadium type things that America has, all they have to do is to get the same DJ Khaled and Rihanna to come and say, well, we'll be holding the first Super Bowl event in this side of the world, this side of the region, and it will happen because these same people have connections with the Rockefellers, the Bill Gates. Most of them on the boards with them. Most of them are friends together. So, as I said, bringing the tourists about has nothing to do with the Prime Minister per se. But remember, we are not reporting to the U.S. Congress. Barbados is reporting to the U.S. Congress its progress and its economy. So, if Barbados has to shell out the money to pay DJ Khaled, pay Rihanna, and pay these influencers, even pay to have a meeting with them, they will do it because we have to pay back that money to the IMF. And now that the U.S. Congress has stake in Barbados' economic affairs, cultural appropriation for the Americans is nothing new. They do it all the time, and they will love the opportunity to penetrate into Barbados.
Yeah. Thanks, Kimar. Listen, this is one again that we're gonna be watching these things for you guys. We're watching them. We're gonna trust me. We're gonna do as much research as we can, do our due diligence, and come back to you. You do the same. You do the same. And as we end off tonight, we're a little bit over. But as we end off tonight, we want to invite everybody to come out on Sunday. Sunday is a big day, y'all. And we need you to come out from 5 o'clock. We're going to be in Independence Square. You can't find any excuse because the next day is a holiday, right? So come out. I mean, bring out the entire family. We have in the house was sponsored. We have Mr. Franklin for the children. We have Marshall from Paw Patrol. Marshall the firefighter will be there from the Paw Patrol cartoon for the children. Will be there. We're gonna have popcorn and we're hoping to have a jumping tent. We're trying to get that in place for the children, but it's gonna be really festive, Kimar. A festive environment. We have the speakers that we've been telling you, and we're going to have our panel after the screening. The people want to hear from you all, so we're going to put on the table and we panel again, and we are inviting everybody out. Come on, folks, let us celebrate our founding father. And let's do it in style. Let's do it without the controversy and all of that, right? Let's do it nice and proper. And we're coming together, and we're going to have, the dancers are going to be there. We have some green monkeys are going to be there, Mr. Franklin, along with Marshall from Paw Patrol going to be there. And if we have our way, we're going to have this jumping tent. The girls say, "Oh, like I'm going to jump in tent." I don't know what's wrong with our Kimar, but but we're going to have a good time. A good time. We have some giveaways that Don Kimar does these giveaways. Children, he's going to be asking them questions about Mr. Barrow and giving away stuff. So you need to make sure the entire family come down, please. We should not ever have any capacity left in Independence Square. This is a big celebration, right, Kimar? So talk to the people, and then Caswell, and we close. Talk to the people and tell them to come out.
Yeah, well, I just got one last train of thought on the Kensington thing. So if you don't mind, just want to make that quick,
Yes,
and
go
then
ahead. Go ahead.
right. To fortify the point that I was making, right, about the plan to bring. Remember that Lynch he was based in New York as the ambassador, right?
In Washington.
Right. So he spent his time down there making all the connections, making all the links, garnering all the resources. And they brought him back from over and brought in an ambassador's post in the US. And put him now as the chairman of the Kensington Oval. Right? So you see the pipeline set up. Again, DJ Khaled, Rihanna, you're trying to get some American tourists to come here. The government is again going down America, putting things in place, paying people to go down America to try to influence tourists to come here. Right, but we could talk about that another time.
Yeah,
Sunday.
We go ahead. Continue,
Yeah.
Kimara. Go ahead.
This Sunday, Barrow Day, Independence Square. We be all in Bridgetown, right in the middle of the city. January 2024, early in the year, celebrating the father of independence, Errol Barrow, right? I know we had a lot of controversy for the month already, but that statue, although it was put there by Warren Alpha, right, which shows the stellar contribution of the man, that the contribution of Errol Barrow goes without party, without cross. He provided opportunity for all of us, regardless of party, to survive and live in this country to today. And we owe it to him to show up this Sunday on his day, the 21st of January. Bring the family, bring the children, bring the husbands, bring the wives, bring the girlfriends, no outside girlfriends. You know, bring the girlfriends, bring the boyfriends, everybody come out, support the young people, support Don, support Thierry, support Timon, you know, and come out this Sunday and give them your full they need it. And I could assure you, the family here and the loyal opposition, we always have a really good time together, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you this Sunday as the general here, Marcia the Queen here, me the Saint, and Ferdy the pastor,
Yes.
Dave the technical. We'll be there. So we look forward to seeing you. We look forward to seeing Don's giveaways. So bring up the kids and participate. You know, you might win something. So I look forward to seeing you guys
Yes.
this Sunday.
Marcia, I can't
And
do
I
it
want to
better.
just publicly thank Kimar for his support. He's doing a lot behind the scenes for this event as well. Thank you, Kimar. Go ahead, Mr. Franklin.
Marcia, I can't do it better. Maybe I might need a Joanne here to come and do my public relations for me. But Kimar did a very good job of promoting this thing. But what I can tell you, you know, when I heard you there talking about Marshall from the Power Patrol, I was like, who's this Marshall from Power Patrol, you know? And you said cartoon, then you said something about cartoon. My cartoon people were Flintstones and Top Cat and Doggy and Quick Draw McDraw, you know? I don't know what it is. So I really want to see this, you know? I want to see this.
You need to bring snow. You need to bring, if you bring snow, let me tell you, you know, everybody will be like taking pictures with snow.
She's bad behavior. Can't bring her, man. You know? But I will tell you, you know, we are doing as an opposition what the government should be doing, because right now Barrow is not opposition. Barrow is a national hero of Barbados.
Correct.
And on Errol Barrow Day, the government should be sponsoring celebrations in his name. Barrow now is no longer the Democratic Labour Party's Barrow. He is the Barrow of Barbados, and he is he was made a national hero of Barbados. So that he's transcending politics now. So but all the government wants to do is to remove his legacy, to transplant it with a false one from some interloper called Mayor Motley. What we must do is to make sure that that never happens. And I'm grateful to Marcia for making sure that this thing happens, to keep Barrow at the focus of the people of Barbados. Because if we Barbadians don't do it, Barrow will be lost to future generations because other people want the person. So come out, support Barrow, watch the movie, learn about Barrow, other than just hearing that he's the father of independence, and they don't tell you anything more. No, people don't tell you what Barrow did, and then they carry clothes. So they want to wipe him off the face of Barbados. Don't let that happen. Come out, learn, tell your children about him, and next year, if they come out with this, we'll bring it again. But
Yes.
Come out this year and support this cause. It is worthy. It is history making. And be part of history. Come out and support us.
And guess what, Kimar and Mr. Franklin? The last thing I'll say is that you will get to see the boots and the jacket. They're in the film because we had filmed them. So you are going to get to see the boots and the jacket again. All right. Okay, guys. God bless you. Joseph Cadogan,
Good night.
Richard Mayes, Frederick Gemma, everybody, Hurricane Writer, Mr. Maximum, Nigel Newton. You are amazing, Mr. Newton. Gelvis, Square 4, Judith and Clark. Look up. Everybody, we love you all. Alwyn Bob, make sure you come in, Alwyn. Sean Cool, everybody, Sherlock Worrell, Stephen Pollard, and people who are quarrel. I can't call everybody's name. God bless you. Sleep well. And we're going to see you the next time we see you, man, is at Kensington. At Independence Square.
Independence Square.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye,
Good night.
everybody.